what if I told you? The most dangerous crime boss in Hong Kong started out as a police recruit, not because he betrayed justice, because the fastest way to destroy the underworld was to become its biggest monster. The moment a mysterious system offered him unimaginable power, he did something no sane person would ever dare. He punched his own superior officer in the face, got himself expelled from the police academy, and voluntarily walked straight into the most violent gang in the city. Everyone thought he had ruined his life. They couldn't have been more wrong. Within a single year, this so-called nobody would build an empire, crush rival syndicates, outsmart corrupt cops, manipulate gang leaders like chess pieces, and become the one man even the most ruthless criminals were terrified to provoke. March 1982. The weather in Sha Tin, New Town, Hong Kong, was bright and clear. Inside the Black Tiger Martial Arts Hall, Camel sat right across from me with a deeply troubled expression. "Ah Lu, you always hunker down and never make a move. Everyone in the society is already starting to harbor resentment," he complained. I spread my hands with a calm expression. "Boss, this rule is literally what you taught me in the first place. I keep a low profile, respect the senior uncles, and handle my duties properly." Camel let out a heavy sigh. "I told you not to cause trouble, not to turn into a complete couch potato. Now everyone behind your back is calling you the guard dog tiger." Hearing that nickname amused me quite a bit. Back then, Camel had spotted my Nine Thunders champion strength in the walled city and spent a fortune recruiting me as a red pole, hoping to temper my edges. He never expected I would just slack off. A year ago, I led Crow, Wu Zhaonan, and Wan Jiu to conquer the Sha Tin territory, but ever since, I closed my doors. I frequently visited senior society members, bringing plenty of gifts, and the uncles showered me with praise. The younger generation of Dongxing, however, felt completely aggrieved. Situ Haonan was expanding his territory on Hong Kong Island, Wu Jiwei traveled to the Netherlands, Lei Yaoyang operated in Causeway Bay, and Sha Mang guarded Yuan Long. Only I remained in Sha Tin. Even when Wu Ziwei wanted to smuggle goods across the border, I blocked him directly. Camel wore a bitter face. "Ah Lu, at least do something so I can answer to the outside world. I am begging you, stop being so inactive." Instead of peers calling me Ah Lu, everyone respectfully addressed me as Brother Six. Back when I first became his disciple, I handed over a red envelope with 66,600, and Camel had returned a gift of 6.66 million. I stood up, stretched my limbs slightly, and sat right back down. "Boss, when you speak, how could I dare not listen? I just moved my body right now, Camel." My deadpan response had Camel so enraged, his fingertips were shaking. "You punk. You might as well just rot in Sha Tin." With that, he fumed out the door. I quickly stood up. "Boss, stay for a bite." Camel didn't even look back as he dove into his car and sped off. Crow watched him storm away and turned to me. "Brother Six, if you just buttered up the chairman a bit, we could pull in so many perks." Hearing Crow run his mouth, I smacked him right on the dome. Crow clutched his head in panic, begging for mercy. "Brother Six, have mercy. I won't talk nonsense anymore." I cracked my knuckles. "If you don't beat some sense into Crow for 3 days, he'll start pulling off catastrophic stunts." I was actually a transmigrator, and back in the early days, I was a police academy cadet. Inspector Lu Chichang picked me out to infiltrate the triads. Holding future foresight, risking my life as an undercover agent was the last thing I wanted to do, so I rejected every benefit he offered. Right then, a system prompt rang in my brain. Intercept undercover mission, obtain divine strength and a spatial storage inventory. Items have a 1-year trial period. Complete the mission to permanently solidify them. Learning about the generous rewards instantly flipped my mindset. I immediately changed my tune. As a royal policeman, eradicating crime is my absolute duty. Though Lu Chichang looked deeply suspicious, he shook my hand to seal the partnership. Taking advantage of his lack of guard, I threw 2 punches straight into his eyes. Because I publicly assaulted a superior, I was instantly expelled from the police academy. Stepping out the gates, I marched straight into Kowloon Walled City, and my chaotic underworld journey began. Relying on the system's divine strength buff, I remained undefeated in the fighting rings, placing heavy bets on myself to win. By the final match, my savings had broken the tens of millions, and I defeated the reigning champion, Crow. Crow broke down on the edge of the ring, weeping. If I won one more match, I could have scraped together the tuition for my girlfriend. Now, all my savings are gone. Seeing his pathetic state, I lent him cash. The very next day, I saw Crow again. His eyes were bloodshot. Not wanting him to turn completely dark, I punched him back to his senses. Crow poured out the truth. His girlfriend had taken up with a wealthy young heir after he starved himself to support her. I mapped out a revenge strategy. We hired someone to seduce that rich kid and spread rumors. Crow threatened to take his ex-girlfriend's life, and I slapped him across the face. Killing people is the lowest form of revenge. You need to make them wish they were dead. Hearing my plan, Crow dropped to his knees, offering 3,600 in cash as tuition to become my disciple. I casually took him in as my very first underling. Shortly after, I brought Crow along to handpick several women and train them up. They smoothly hooked the wealthy heir. However, Blind Eye, a local precinct boss, set his sights on my money, secretly arranging hitmen to ambush me. The very night after the fighting match, Crow and I were ambushed. Crow lunged forward, shoving me behind a concrete wall to dodge bullets. He took a bullet wound, urging me to run away alone. Realizing the system buffs didn't make me invincible, I pulled an AK rifle straight out of my spatial storage inventory and returned fire. Several hitmen dropped dead. Stocking massive amounts of firearms and ammo in my inventory, I carried the wounded Crow on my back and slipped into the territory governed by the Dragon City gang to find underground surgeons. Lay a rifle right on top of cash, and a doctor instantly turns into an eager professional. An eye for an eye means the Blind Eye incident wouldn't end here. I scattered massive amounts of cash to dig up dirt on Blind Eye and posted a public bounty recruiting desperate outlaws. Cyclone, the head of the Dragon City gang, blocked my path. Just what kind of storm are you trying to kick up? I'm only recruiting ruthless bastards who want money more than their lives. Once the job is done, they clear out. Two men walked up, inquiring about the bounty. Wu Xiaonan and Wan Zhu. 100,000 up front, another 200,000 upon completion. The sole target is to thoroughly dismantle Blind Eye's entire operation. Wu Xiaonan argued that uprooting a rival faction required a price hike, but Wan Zhu accepted the job without asking for extra. I gave a dark nod, then turned to a wheelchair-bound crow. Just wait, Big Brother will get you back every ounce of justice. Not long after, gunfire and explosions rocked Blind Eye's stronghold. Top Uncle, the big boss of the Walled City Committee, terrified the structure would collapse, sent Cyclone to negotiate. Cyclone advised me to call a truce. I flat-out rejected him. If we stop fighting, I'm the only one who says when. With supplies running dry from the chaotic warfare, the committee coughed up 2 million to smooth things over. Even then, I didn't budge. The wheelchair-bound crow chimed in. Brother Six, that's enough. I'm already content just keeping our lives. Seeing Crow talk me down, the wild madness in my eyes slowly faded. If my little brother says we stop, then this matter is closed. Crow's eye rims turned red as he loudly backed my words. Wu Jiaonan and Wan Zhu watched the scene with deep emotional resonance. In the underworld, a big brother who valued loyalty was an endangered species. I glanced their way and tossed out an invite. If you are willing, you can run with me from now on. Wu Jiaonan and Wan Zhu answered in unison, pledging their loyalty. It was this battle that caught Camel's eye, leading him to offer 6.66 million to recruit me into Dongxing as a 426 red pole. That day, I received a notification. Congratulations to the host for completing the mission. Reward solidification complete. Bye-bye. Hold on. You are just leaving like this? The interpretation rights belong to the system. This mission is done. Time to take the next one. The payout rate is way too low right now. Hang on. Give me a bit more. Beep, beep, beep. This mission has caused abnormal mental activity in the host. Compensation received. 2 sets of bulletproof suits and 2 sets of casual wear. System time-space transit countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You mental patient, you are still using your conscious mind. If I ever catch you robbing me again. I stared at the virtual ring, eyeing the Infinite Ammo Tactical Master 2011 nestled within the spatial storage, and nodded in satisfaction. Infinite Ammo was just a marketing term. It simply meant the interior magazine was linked to the virtual ring space. Trash system. I led my trio into Sha Tin New Town, cementing my reign as its undisputed boss. I deliberately left a few minor triads standing. Without comparison, how could anyone appreciate peace? Besides, somebody still had to handle dirty work. Sha Tin was a major administrative district in the northeastern New Territories of Hong Kong, comprising Tai Wai, Fo Tan, Ma Lu Shui, Tate's Cairn, Ma On Shan, and surrounding villages. Covering 200 square kilometers, it bordered Tai Po, Suan Wan, Kwantong, and Sai Kung, serving as a transport hub connecting Kowloon and Shenzhen. Human settlement dated back to 1368, with villages like Lekyuan and Tai Wai established during the late Ming and early Qing dynasties. Early settlements clustered along the Xingmen River. In 1898, British officials renamed the area Sha Tin. Following the 1910 railway opening, the Lekyuan public housing estate sprouted up, transforming Sha Tin into a satellite town. Land reclamation in the 1960s turned Marine Bay into solid ground. Today, Sha Tin was a comprehensive new town, featuring residential areas, light industries, and commercial streets. Most early residents were Hakkas, preserving walled village architectural styles like the Tsang Tai UK estate built in 1848. That deep-rooted territoriality made Hakkas the local tigers of Sha Tin. Still, having locals attached to their home turf was a massive plus. Homebody vibes? Perfect. Crow, where the hell did you wander off to? Crow sat right behind me, looking resigned. Boss, I have been sitting right behind you this entire time. I spun around and fixed him with a sharp glare. Then why did you not say anything? Crow sighed internally. If you want to beat me up, just say so. He clutched his head and squatted down. Come on, I am ready. I pointed toward the door. Go buy beef, mutton, seafood, and lamb kidneys. Drag Ah Wu and Xiao Jiu back here. We are doing a barbecue tonight. Cyclone is dropping by. Crow sprang up, asking tentatively, Boss, what is Cyclone coming here for? Did you stir up trouble in the walled city again? Not a chance. Crow bolted for the door. The moment Crow vanished, I smiled. He was a chronic troublemaker, but my favorite kind of entertainment. I could still vividly remember the bullet he took from me over a year ago. In this life, how many people would genuinely take a bullet for you? Brother Six, I came to play with you. Get in here. Did you eat lunch yet? I waved at the 2-meter-tall giant who lumbered through the door. Nah, I was kicking the ball with Xiao Hai and the guys. I walked into the kitchen and placed a plate of bread and fruit juice in front of Lai Fu. His full name was Zheng Lai Fu, grandson of the village chief of Zheng Wuxi village in Fotan. A high fever in childhood left him with an intellectual capacity around 8 or 9 years old. Despite his mental age, Lai Fu possessed razor-sharp emotional intuition. Lai Fu reached for the bread, but catching my mischievous grin, he rushed to the sink and thrust his massive hands out. Brother Six, look, I washed them clean. Good, hurry up and eat. You are eating here tonight. I unscrewed the juice bottle and handed it to him. Glug glug glug. A 500-milliliter bottle vanished down his throat. He shook the empty bottle, all gone. I chuckled, grabbing another. Save some room, we are having meat tonight. Hearing meat dialed Lai Fu's energy to maximum. Brother Six, is there beef? Yes. Brother Six, is there mutton? Yes. Lai Fu, how come I have not seen you around? how's your hard qigong progress? Wang Jiu strolled in holding a bag of seafood and sat down beside Lei Fu. Juge, I am practicing hard. My internal energy just gets a bit out of control sometimes. Wang Jiu checked Lei Fu's pulse and clapped a hand onto his shoulder. Awesome, you managed to crack the secret entry point. You are an absolute martial arts genius. Wang Jiu glanced at me with a flattering grin. Of course, boss, you are the true freak of nature. You took a hard qigong style meant to rely on deity possession and turned it into a pure external martial art. Wang Jiu had one detail wrong. I had used the deity descent technique, but the entity summoned was Xiang Yu, the legendary conqueror deified as a martial saint. While others summoned underworld deities, I summoned myself. I tossed Wang Jiu a cigarette and took a drag of my drink. Just for the patience you showed with Lei Fu. I respect you, Wang Jiu. One of your martial brothers came to Hong Kong looking for you. Give him back the secret manual, and scrape together cash for him to fix the temple gate. The smile vanished from Wang Jiu's face, his expression twisting with internal struggle. Juge, did you take someone's stuff? Lei Fu asked innocently. If you took it, just give it back. I will go home and get my pocket money for you. I watched with an amused smile. Out of everyone in my circle, Lei Fu had the most upright moral compass. The rest of my scumbag crew didn't have a single decent bone between them. Wang Jiu grabbed Lei Fu, who was trying to stand up, and let out a dry laugh. Lei Fu is right. If I cross the line, I will own it. Own what? Cyclone walked into the martial arts hall with Ah Qi, sitting beside me. I looked straight at Ah Qi. How do you want to settle this business with Xiaoju? Do we throw hands, or do we play for keeps? Ah Qi knew my legend. What is Brother Six's angle here? The corners of my mouth curled up. The manual Xiaoju brought out. You can take it back, along with cash for the trip. If that is not good enough, I will wipe out your temple. Send your high-tier fighters to Hong Kong and let us find out whether your heads are harder than my bullets. Old Lu, Cyclone intervened as peacemaker. Ah Qi, Wang Jiu is Brother Six's brother now. Trying to settle accounts in Hong Kong is a pipe dream. Since Brother Six laid his terms down, you can pick whether you stay or go. I guarantee a safe trip back, and after that, everyone stays in their own lane. Wang Jiu stood up, headed upstairs, and returned a moment later with the items. I was driven out of the sect, and it was entirely my own fault. My temper used to be untamable. That arrogance has long since been beaten out of me. This past year, I saved a little money. Take this cash back and hand it to the master, kowtow once on my behalf, and pass on a single message. This wayward disciple has put down his arrogance, and his hard qigong has reached a higher realm. Whether he wants to welcome me back or cut ties, it is entirely up to him. Ah Qi stared in disbelief. You are just letting it go? Wang Jiu took off his glasses and laughed softly. These glasses are basically decorations now. Ah Qi collapsed into his chair, looking defeated. The lawless Wang Jiu had just surrendered his edge. Where was the justice in that? I watched Ah Qi and threw out an offer. Ah Qi, I know your culinary skills are top tier. Ever thought about opening a private kitchen? Xiaoju advanced his martial arts, and if you let go of your obsession, you might break through your own bottleneck. Admittedly, I was just spinning a yarn. My future plans required top-tier experts and Ah Qi fit the bill. If Brother Six thinks I am worth it, once I get back and settle things, I will come to Hong Kong. Please have a place ready. Ah Qi picked up the parcel and turned to leave. Cyclone watched him leave, turning to me with a puzzled look. Did he seriously buy that? I chuckled. Dragon. Ah Qi is a monk. How could his brain work like your shady schemes? Cyclone laughed heartily. And look who is talking. But let us get down to business. Can you bump up the prices at your recycling company? The area around the walled city has been locked down by you guys. If I want to expand, operating costs are going to skyrocket. Small matter. A word from you carries weight. I took a drag of my cigarette. You should also know Wanlong Renewable Resources is just starting out, and our industrial chain isn't complete. A lot of projects require upstream pre-processing. If we raise recycling prices, we have to raise them across your collection points too. Wu Xiaonan was currently busy cutting costs. I definitely had to consult him before raising rates. My brothers managed their own domains, holding shares in their companies. Collecting junk was surprisingly lucrative. Cyclone shook his head. With Wu's personality, the moment he hears about raising prices, he is going to flip out. Seeing the groundwork laid, I decided to settle the score from a year ago. Dragon, does the walled city welcome me now? Are you serious? Cyclone flipped me the middle finger. Old Lu, you are still holding on to something like this. Brother Six holds the record for pettiness. Lei Fu piped up, exposing my lack of sportsmanship. Last time we played football and he lost, he sent his men to rip down the goalposts the next day. You ungrateful brat, I raised you for nothing, I retorted. Didn't I have a new goalpost installed by the third day, and I donated a small library? Anyway, you are petty, Lei Fu muttered, immune to my smooth talk. Cyclone glanced at Lei Fu, deeply curious. Old Lu, who is this? I rubbed the top of Lei Fu's head. This kid is my underling, a legitimate underling. He is also Xiaoju's apprentice and our mascot. Brother Six is my big brother, Lei Fu nodded earnestly. Crow walked in, carrying supplies, organizing everything before hurrying over. Boss, there's a restaurant opening in the new town tomorrow. The owner handed me an invitation card. Should we check out their food? I glanced at the invitation. Tan family cuisine. Heh, interesting. Lu Xiaowei. I tossed the invitation back. We will drop by tomorrow to taste it. Over the past year, business merchants had flooded into Sha Tin New Town, paying security fees managed by Chen Tianxiong, better known as Crow. Sha Tin now belonged to me, my chosen base camp. Anyone wanting to stir up trouble would first have to knock out Crow, Ah Wu, and Wang Jiu. My Black Tiger Martial Arts Hall was a 4-story building, with a 1-meter-high perimeter wall around the rooftop. Lei Fu squatted next to me, watching the charcoal glow beneath the grill as grease sizzled. He sniffed deeply. Brother Six, it smells so good. You only have food on your mind. Despite my words, I fanned the charcoal, an idea popping into my head. an electric grill. The more I thought about it, the more viable it seemed. I reached over to rub Lai Fu's head. You really are my lucky star. Yeah, my name is Lai Fu, he replied seriously. Cyclone sat comfortably under a patio umbrella, enjoying a cold beer. Crow was stringing up meat skewers. Without touching peanuts, Cyclone had polished off 3 bottles of beer. Boss, why did you call me over so early? I can't rest easy, leaving the company unattended. Wu Xiaonan arrived fashionably late carrying fruit. I waved him over. Ah Wu, if there's minor stuff, let subordinates handle it. Ah Wu sat down complaining, boss, the way those punks handle things makes no sense, but as long as I watch them, they don't dare slack off. I rolled my eyes. No wonder. You work yourself to the bone. Learn to delegate. Look at Crow and Xiao Ju. Do you see them stressing out? Crow placed skewered beef and mutton onto the grill. Boss is right, Wu. You're trying to bury yourself in money. Ah Wu glared at him. Can I afford not to watch them? What if something goes wrong with the accounts? All right, shut your traps. I interrupted, pointing at both. Go away. Lai Fu gave Ah Wu a shove with his shoulder, sending him stumbling. Wuj, big brother told you to move. He is grilling meat for me. Ah Wu twitched his mouth. Lai Fu's raw strength was just too terrifying. Ah Wu, come over here. Let's talk business, Cyclone called out. Ah Wu sat down beside Cyclone with a gloomy expression. Anything else is fine, just don't bring up expanding near the walled city. You know how complicated things are over there. Cyclone slid a cold beer across to him. Have a drink, just a little expansion. Ah Wu stiffened his neck. Don't even think about it. Asking for more budget? Absolutely not. Lai Fu walked over, carrying roasted meat, trailing behind me as we approached the table. I sat down, and Lai Fu parked himself next to me like a small mountain, handing me a skewered lamb kidney. Brother 6, eat it while it is hot. I took a bite and grabbed a beer for a massive gulp. Ah Wu, whatever amount you decide is fine. Give Dragon a break. Seeing Ah Wu still grumpy, Lai Fu handed him a meat skewer. Wuj, eat more meat and your mood will get better. Ah Wu took a bite and turned to Cyclone. Dragon, since my boss spoke up, I will give you this face. But how much we expand depends on what my accountant says. Cyclone fished out a beer and handed it to Ah Wu. Deal. With friends gathered to drink, eat meat, and talk nonsense, time flew. After the feast, Cyclone strolled back to the walled city, while Crow drove Lai Fu back to Fotan. Grandpa, I am back. Zhang Qiang fanned himself in the courtyard. Another meal at your big brother's place? The barbecue big brother made today was delicious. Zhang Qiang's biggest heartache had always been this grandson. But ever since Lai Fu met old Lu, that worry had faded. Lai Fu noticed his grandfather spacing out and stayed quiet. When Crow returned to the martial arts hall, he found me sketching. Boss, what is this? It looks like a barbecue grill. An electric grill. With this blueprint, my thoughts cascaded down the line. Electric ovens, air fryers, electric hot pots, dual-purpose hot pot grills. Manufacturing them would open a massive cash cow. Early the next morning, the 4 of us practiced our forms on the roof. I practiced Xingyi scattered hands. Crow focused on red fist and tiger fist, and Ah Wu used Wing Chun and batting knives. Crack. Ah Wu snapped the arm of a wooden dummy. Damn it. My physical strength is growing too fast. Another few $100 down the drain. We headed downstairs for breakfast. Crow answered the ringing phone. Boss, Mainland Marshal Shui Ling is back. Boss, Ding wants you to head over. Get the car ready, I said, swallowing sumai. Wanju asked, Boss, do I need to tag along? No need, handle your own stuff. I headed up to the bedroom and changed into a tailored pink suit, the bulletproof suit rewarded by the system. Checking my collar in the mirror, I nodded in satisfaction. A sleek BMW 7 Series sped toward the Dongxing main hall in Yuan Long. After stepping out, Crow opened the rear door and tossed the keys to a junior guard. Watch it, or I will break your legs. I quickened my pace toward the loyalty hall. Boss is here early. I sat down next to Beitu Weng, the second route marshal. Beitu Weng chuckled. I am getting old, just coming out to catch some fresh air. I scoffed inwardly. Old man with a young heart, your hair is all white, yet you keep a 20-something chick around. Have one. I offered him a cigarette. I prefer these. Beitu Weng pulled out a cigar. As we chatted, the loyalty hall filled up. Even smiling Tiger Wu Zhuwei rushed back from the Netherlands. Camel walked in, accompanied by a stunning woman in a blue cheongsam, split high up the thighs, accentuating long legs. This was Loqing Wu's younger wife, Camel's stepmother, and Dongxing's mainland marshal, Shui Ling. Behind Shui Ling walked a heavily built man with bloodshot eyes and a striking woman in sleek black motorcycle gear. Camel smiled warmly. Sit, everyone sit. I sat down next to racing tiger Situ Haonan. Shui Ling took her seat alongside Camel at the head of the table. On the left sat Situ Haonan, myself, and Lei Yaoyang. On the right sat Beitu Weng, Sha Meng, and Wu Zhuwei. Senior uncles sat behind Camel, while other bosses filled the rear rows. Dongxing's 5 tigers and 3 phoenixes were the true facade of the gang. Camel smiled. Today, mainland Marshal Shui Ling has returned to Hong Kong, so I called everyone together. Camel pointed at me and Lei Yaoyang. The one in the pink suit is Sha Tin Hall Master Wind Demon Tiger Qin Lang. The one in the black suit is Sham Shai Po Hall Master Rampaging Tiger Lei Yaoyang. Yaoyang secured Sham Shui Po through his own strength, while Ah Lang led his crew to conquer Sha Tin. Shui Ling's piercing gaze locked onto us, but Crow and I offered polite nods. Ah Lang, right? Shui Ling asked with a charming smile. That is me, she chuckled. Even in Malaysia, I have heard your name. Daring to square off against management in the walled city, your nerve is genuinely impressive. You flatter me, mainland marshal, I replied with a mild smile. Realizing I was immune to her charm, she turned to Lei Yaoyang, Rampaging Tiger Lei Yaoyang, Establishing a foothold in Shamshui Po purely on your own merit is no small feat. Too kind, Lei Yaoyang replied, slamming his heavy book onto the conference table with a dull thud. Shui Ling frowned. Are these two even men? Her gaze shifted to Situ Haonan. Catching his greedy stare, she nodded with satisfaction. Shui Ling turned to the man and woman behind her. You two, introduce yourselves. The massive man spoke briefly. Shui Ling, Shiji Wu Sheng. The woman spoke in a smooth tone. Shui Ling, Shi Jie, Ji Chao Chao. Moving forward in Hong Kong, I kindly ask all big bosses to take care of us. We are a family, no need to speak in two voices. If anything comes up, just say the word. Smiling Tiger Wu Jiwei chimed in. Oh, this bastard had zero turf in Hong Kong. Smiling Tiger grinned at me. Right, old Lu? Right, your mother's rotting corpse. I snatched an ashtray and hurled it straight into Smiling Tiger's head. Blood sprayed, soaking his hair. He clutched his bleeding scalp, glaring with venomous eyes. A manic intensity flashed in my eyes. Smiling Tiger, did I give you permission to talk to me? I wasn't addressing you. If you ever send your men to test my patience again, I will personally slaughter you. Old Lu, Camel sighed, rubbing his temples. We are talking business. Why are you throwing hands? Ah Wei pushing product into Sha Tin was his mistake, but let's air our grievances. I adjusted my vest, pulled out a cigarette, and took a long drag. Big boss, you know my temper. I was booted from the police academy for beating a senior inspector. With undercover rats crawling through every syndicate, I am a prime suspect. That is why I steer clear of white powder. Don't drag me into your dirty drug money. Cross the line and bring your garbage into Sha Tin again, and I'll bury you. Lei Yaoyang gave me a firm thumbs up. Out of the entire Dongxing roster, you're the only one I vibe with, Lao Lu. These uncultured brutes don't understand sophisticated threats. Everyone in the room shot Lei Yaoyang a look of loathing. Smiling, Tiger poked the bear. Why drag the rest of us into your complex? Situ Haonan leaned back, amused. He didn't believe old Lu was an undercover cop who deploys an agent who hauls rocket-propelled grenades into the walled city. Haonan considered himself ruthless, but compared to this lunatic, he was a saint. There was zero reason to provoke old Lu. Camel slammed his palm against the tabletop. Old Lu, you're taking this too seriously. Nobody thinks you're a cop, he demanded confirmation. Right? Stop joking around. Exactly. Old Lu is unhinged, someone blurted out. If he were a cop, he'd try to arrest people instead of dragging corpses back to the station. Camel nodded in satisfaction. As long as old Lu kept Sha Tin locked down, Camel could sleep. Besides, old Lu hated paperwork too much to usurp the throne. Camel chuckled. Since you don't want false conclusions, let's clear the air. Still, you need to work on that explosive temper. I spread my hands. Big boss, you know me. Direct violence solves problems faster. If anyone has a problem, step up. Empty hands or hardware, I don't care. Maybe the next reincarnation will patch out this mental illness. I glared across the table. Try crossing me one more time, and I will hunt you down in Amsterdam and turn you into fertilizer. Golden-haired Tiger Xiaoming twitched his mouth. Still, if a full-scale war broke out, Xiaoming knew he'd back old Lu. Old Lu had handed him a lucrative commercial project. Loyalty was bought with bread and butter. Whispering Shang Yu in my mind altered my gaze. Catching the red tin in my eyes, Smiling Tiger felt an icy shiver. He knew that when this psycho lost his grip, even Camel couldn't stop him. I heard you. Smiling Tiger muttered through gritted teeth, his eyes burning with humiliating resentment. All right, we're all family here. Let's keep the peace. Camel intervened. I let my gaze sweep across the room. Some wore schadenfreude, others fury. Good. I thrived on people who wanted me dead but lacked the capability. Old Lu's unpredictable episodes struck at random intervals. Chi Chiao Chiao watched with wide eyes, her worldview shattered. Catching my glance, she offered a timid smile. I flashed a lazy, roguish grin right back. The meeting droned on with administrative garbage. As it broke up, Camel caught my eye. Old Lu, my birthday banquet is the day after tomorrow. Come early and help me greet guests. I glanced at Smiling Tiger. Wasn't this humiliating duty assigned to this trash last year? I nodded lazily. No problem, big boss. I strolled out with Crow trailing behind. Need anything, boss? Crow asked. The liquor cabinet at the safe house is running dry. We're stopping by his place to stock up. Crow rolled his eyes. Ever since I'd gotten tight with Baitu Wang, I hadn't spent a penny on expensive alcohol. As we walked out, Crow lagged behind, casually drifting past Smiling Tiger. Clumsy step, sudden shove. Crow's bulky frame slammed into Smiling Tiger, sending him sprawling. Oh damn, Big Wei. Terribly sorry, my hand slipped. Crow laughed, reaching down to haul him up. Before Smiling Tiger could grab his wrist, Crow let go. Thud. Smiling Tiger crashed back down. Oops. My hand slipped again, Crow mocked. Trembling with rage, Smiling Tiger batted Crow's hand away, brushed the dirt off his suit, and pointed a shaking finger at him. You're a dead man. Let's see how this ends. Crow crossed his arms. Oh no, Wei Ji. I tried my absolute best to help you up, and instead of thanking me, you're threatening litigation. I'm so scared right now. While he couldn't openly draw steel inside the loyalty hall, the rules didn't apply outside. Crow's razor-sharp tongue was engineered to trigger a stroke. I gave Crow a light slap on the shoulder. Don't you know Wage has a weak constitution? Stop picking on the disabled. Stay away from him before you stress him into an early grave. Crow raised his arm in mock apology. My bad, Weiji. If you're going to kick the bucket, please do it far away from me. With that, Crow trotted lazily after me. Once out of earshot, Smiling Tiger spat bloody phlegm onto the pavement and shrieked with venom. Bunch of motherfucking animals. Before he could finish, another heavy shoulder checked hard into his chest, sending him sprawling backward onto the asphalt for the third time that day. This time, Smiling Tiger didn't get up. His complexion as dark as a storm. He swore he was never returning to Hong Kong. Meanwhile, a convoy of black sedans pulled up outside the upscale Dongxing wine estate on Maich Street in Mongkok. Baitu Wang moved with a private army of armed bodyguards. Stepping out, I walked past the reception desk and tossed instructions to Crow. Grab every single bottle of that 1982 vintage I like. Don't leave a single drop behind. Got it, boss. Crow vanished into the cellars. I settled down next to Baitu Wang, accepting a glass of scotch. Old man, I'm thinking about expanding my footprint. I want to open a massive liquor and specialty food distribution hub right in the heart of Sha Tin New Town. Baitu Wang clinked his glass against mine with a knowing grin. Small matter. Build whatever you want. I'll have Crow oversee the logistics. I offered a reassuring pat on the old man's shoulder. Don't worry, your investment is safe with me. Anyone who tries to run a protection racket in Sha Tin has to go through my bullets first. Baitu Wang let out a dry laugh. You're reckless, but I like your style. Aside from your laziness and lack of respect for authority, you're the best partner a syndicate could ask for. As we chatted, a slender young woman in a dangerously thin summer dress sauntered down the spiral staircase. She couldn't have been over 22. A violent wave of dizziness crashed over my brain. A heavy migraine flared behind my eyes. Baitu Wang frowned. Old Lu, you look pale. You really ought to check yourself into a proper clinic. Doctors won't do shit, I muttered, rubbing my temples. Can't get a decent night's sleep. Have you consulted a licensed psychologist? Yeah, a complete waste of time. Do I look like a guy who needs talking cures? The young woman glided over, wrapping her arms around Baitu Wang's neck. Darling, the boutique in Mongkok just received fresh designer bags. Can we go shopping today? The visual contrast of an 80-year-old paired with a gold digger was peak nightmare fuel. I stood up abruptly. All right, old man, I've got places to be. Leaving so soon? Baitu Wang called out. Yeah, before my lunch makes a reappearance, I muttered, striding toward the exit. Moments later, Crow jogged out carrying 2 massive wooden crates stuffed with vintage liquor, loading them into the trunk. Cola dashed out, handing me a heavy gift bag. 6G, this is the absolute top-tier reserve stock. Don't drop it. I peered inside. Since it's such high-end merchandise, why'd you only pack 2? Please, 6G, spare my life, Cole stammered. If Big Boss finds out I cleared out his private vault without permission, he'll skin me alive. Crow lugged another box out, dumping it onto the passenger seat. Relax, Cole. The boss meant take all of it. With the trunk maximized, our vehicle sped back toward Sha Tin New Town. Go on, load the remaining liquor into the storage room. Right on it, Big Boss. Crow slid into the driver's seat. Boss, do you want me to find a chance to quietly take care of Smiling Tiger? Take care of him? What are you talking about? I scoffed. A beatdown is fine, but killing him is off the table. We secured a peaceful footing here. We're not throwing it away over a clown. A single Smiling Tiger isn't worth the fallout. Smart syndicate bosses weren't stupid, the truly stupid ones were stepping stones. Wiping out a fellow 5 Tiger over a verbal squabble was clinical lunacy. Crow sighed in disappointment. Boss, if a short stack like him can make the Dongxing 5 Tigers, I could do it in my sleep. I gave him a sharp kick. Give it a couple of years and I'll let Big Boss slide you into a vacant seat. As the car sped along, it pulled up in front of the Tan Family Cuisine restaurant. I stepped out onto the pavement, prompting me to smack the back of Crow's head for nearly giving me whiplash. Crow smoothed down his hair, tossing the keys to the valet. Park it carefully and don't scratch the paint, or I'll break your legs, kid. The valet grinned. Hey, Big Boss, isn't your catchphrase usually park it right or I'll break your legs? Outside the restaurant, drums thundered and colorful banners fluttered. The opening ceremony was in full swing, featuring an elaborate lion dance performance. The lead lion leaped and twisted with dynamic precision. The breathtaking display earned enthusiastic applause from the crowd. This lion dance troupe seriously knows their craft. Crow and I watched in the outer circle. As the show wrapped up, spectators dispersed. Earning money the hard way made people stingy. 2 luxury sedans roared up, blocking the entrance. Several men piled out, led by a silver-haired man in his 50s in a sharp suit and gold-rimmed glasses. Crow rolled up his sleeves. I pressed down firmly on his shoulder. Hold on, let's watch the show first. Shao, what the hell do you think you're pulling? The bespectacled man shouted at the restaurant owner. Father just passed away, and you're trying to set up your own independent shop? The owner, Lu Xiao, a woman in her 40s, turned pale. Big brother, can we please go inside and discuss this like civilized people? There's nothing to hide behind closed doors. Are you still part of the Lu family or not? Spotting the growing crowd, Lu Xiao let out a bitter sigh. For the sake of her son and mother, she refused to back down. She glared with sudden defiance. Starting today, I am completely cutting ties with the Lu family. This restaurant is my lifeblood, and if anyone tries to wreck my opening day, I will fight them to the death. The man pointed a trembling finger. Ungrateful little brat. Tears welled up in Lu Xiao's eyes. You vultures are already trying to strip away the Kowloon City Tan Family Cuisine restaurant. Why won't you just leave me alone? A slick young man stepped out. Auntie, you need to leave the secret seasoning formulas right where they belong. Lu Xiao shook with rage. Xiaohai, those culinary secrets were brought by my mother. The bespectacled man crossed his arms. Hand over the formulas, take down the sign, and then you can go play businesswoman. Crow leaned over. Damn, boss. These suited sociopaths make us look like choir boys. Truly worse than beasts, I agreed. That's my cue, Crow growled, ripping off his sunglasses. These bastards are more shameless than I am. What are you waiting for? Beat them till they smoke. Crow rocketed forward, unleashing a right hook straight into the bespectacled man's jaw. Crack. A second punch sent the nephew sprawling. Within 3 seconds, every lackey was flat on their back. Crow delivered a heavy kick to the nephew's ribs. Turning to the valets, Crow barked. Anyone dumb enough to cause trouble in Sha Tin needs to learn that local wildlife bites back. Enforcers surged forward, boots flying. Ow. Stop hitting us. We're calling the police. I squatted down beside the swollen-faced, bespectacled man with a warm smile. Mister, did you say you wanted to call the cops? No, we don't want. I waved at 2 passing patrol officers. Hey officers, over here, we've got a public disturbance. The officers nodded respectfully. Afternoon, 6G, do me a favor and haul these troublemakers down to the station. 6G, you want us to process them? They're disturbing the peace. Fill out the paperwork. Sir, wait, the nephew shrieked. He's the one who started it. The sergeant shot him a look of pity. Turning to the crowd, he raised his voice. Did anyone witness these men initiating an assault? Officer, I didn't see anyone hit, a shopkeeper declared. I missed the whole thing, another chimed in. I saw it clearly. The restaurant manager was just trying to break up the fight, but these thugs attacked unprovoked, a third added. The sergeant nodded. Haul them down to the station for disturbing the peace. Lu Xiao hurried over to Crow, bowing deeply. Manager Chen, thank you so much. Caught off guard, Crow froze. He glanced nervously at me, his eyes screaming, Boss, what do I do with this? I wrapped an arm around Crow's shoulders. Open your business in peace. Nobody in Sha Tin will ever dare bully you here. Lu Xiao hurried upstairs, pouring tea and lighting our cigarettes. If I may ask, I know Manager Chen's position, but who exactly is the young master sitting at the head of the table? Boss Lu, you didn't even check the local landscape, Crow piped up. I had to take over this restaurant on short notice, Lu Xiao said. If you guys hadn't intervened, I wouldn't have made it out of Kowloon City. The guy sitting right here is my big boss. In Sha Tin, you can forget the chief inspector of police, but never forget my big boss. I delivered a sharp cuff to the back of Crow's head. Go ahead and handle your kitchen, Boss Lu. If anyone gives you trouble, drop Crow's name. Understood, Lu Xiao said, slipping out of the room. I fixed Crow with a deadpan stare. Boss. Did I mess something up again? Out on the street, you represent our organization, but you don't need to act like a rabid dog to every ordinary civilian, I said. Intimidating regular folks makes you a bully. Save it for rival syndicates. Crow blinked, processing my words. Boss. Are you saying the Underworld is just a stepping stone? We're actually building towards something bigger. Spotting the growing business, I patted his shoulder. Who do you think really runs Hong Kong? The British colonial governors, obviously. Cold hard cash is what truly runs the show. Treat ordinary people with baseline decency. Combine absolute ruthlessness with a civilized foundation, and you'll stand tall. Crow blinked slowly. So, be nice to ordinary people, save the violence for the scum, and I'll live a long, rich life? Close enough. Now let's get some food. A server presented 4 appetizers, coral napa cabbage rolls, gingerfish slices, clear bird's nest soup, and braised shark fin. The coral napa cabbage roll is our signature starter, featuring mango wrapped in napa cabbage. I took a bite. Crow inhaled his food in a couple of bites. Soon, the hot dishes arrived. Braised shark fin, sea cucumber, red braised abalone, and mushroom steamed chicken. We cleaned every bowl in record time. Boss, this food is pretty interesting. Too bad the portions are tiny. Yeah, their kitchen pacing is painfully slow. The server's face turned red. Are the gentlemen satisfied with the dishes? I froze, realizing there was no second act coming. I stood up smoothly, patted Crow's shoulder, and ordered, I'll wait for you downstairs. You handle the bill. Without looking back, I bolted toward the exit. Crow reached into his pocket, slapped several $100 notes onto the table, and declared, keep the change for a tip. Lu Xiao hurried over as he reached the lobby. Manager Chen, are you and your partner satisfied? It was all right. Make the portions bigger next time, Crow said, increasing his pace as he jogged out. Upstairs, Xiao Li explained the embarrassing mishap to Lu Xiao. Lu Xiao slapped her forehead, snatched up the cash, and sprinted downstairs, but the car was already gone. Meanwhile, at the Sha Tin police station, Senior Inspector Li Wenbin gave the battered troublemakers a cold look. Take them down to the holding cells. Li Wenbin fixed Lu Xingye with a steady stare. You have 2 choices, settle privately or hire a lawyer, but you don't have eyewitnesses. Lie, sir. I'm very close with Superintendent Dongxing over at the Kowloon City Station. Li Wenbin chuckled. Find a way to settle this immediately, or your family will have massive problems. I'm only warning you out of respect for old Dong. Lu Xingye staggered out of the station, his eyelid twitching. Get in the car, we're heading straight back to Kowloon City. Over at the Kowloon City Station, Superintendent Dongjiang was on the phone negotiating his nightly domestic budget. A constable popped his head in. Someone named Lu Xingye is outside asking to see you. Send him in. Lu Xingye recounted the disaster. Dongjiang felt an instant wave of regret. Why did you pick a fight with that total lunatic? Dongjiang picked up his desk phone and dialed Black Uncle. It's me, Dongjiang. I need you to set up a peace talks dinner. Black Uncle sounded surprised. Is there still someone in Kowloon City ballsy enough to ignore your face? It's old Lu over in Sha Tin. You know how it is. I'm close to retirement. Understood. Dongjiang dropped the receiver back onto the cradle and looked across the desk at Lu Xingye. Wait for word. It shouldn't be a massive problem, but you're going to pay for this. Lu Xingye let out a ragged breath. Thank you, Dong, sir. The Lu family won't forget this. An hour later, the phone on Dongjiang's desk rang shrilly. What's the verdict? Take your man to the Black Tiger Martial Arts Association in Sha Tin. The voice on the other end instructed. Have the Lu family hand over half their assets to Lu Xiao. If they agree, the slate is wiped clean. Dongjiang relayed the terms to Lu Xingye. You heard them. They want half the family assets signed over to Lu Xiao. If you don't like it, you're on your own. Lu Xingye gripped his head in despair. I'd love a refund on this experience. Is there any other way? Dongjiang rubbed his temples. Let me spell it out for you. The guy you pissed off is Qin Lang the Mad Tiger. He's a certified psychopath who hauled a rocket launcher into the walled city just to settle a score. Unless you have a direct pipeline straight to Camel, nobody is going to start a war with him over you. Lu Xingye's eyes lit up with hope. Old Dong, what about Inspector Jing? Can the police station help settle this? Dong Zheng blinked. Jingshu, you actually have connections with the old-timers from the Tung Fat Wo? My father used to do business with Jingshu, Lu Xingye explained hurriedly. Dong Zheng gave a slow nod. Jingshu still holds considerable weight among the older generation. You can try having him pull strings, though I make zero guarantees. Understood, Dong sir. Thank you for the guidance. After Lu Xingye scurried out, Dong Zheng exhaled. Dragging a senior superintendent into a triad negotiation was not in his job description. The Tung Fat Wo Society originated from workers who migrated from Dongguan to Hong Kong decades ago. Luo Zhengwu built the foundation of Tung Sing through sheer grit, while Tung Fat Wo was one of the oldest factions, protected by Chief Chinese Detective Louis Locke. They had flourished during the 50s and 60s. Over in Kowloon Tong, Villa number 66 housed Inspector Jing, the retired grand-uncle of the Tung Fat Wo. When Lu Xingye's car pulled up, Shuang Fandong, Inspector Jing's personal bodyguard, opened the heavy wooden door and recognized him from the dance hall. Jingshu inside? Lu Xingye asked, offering a bruised bow. Shuang Fandong took in the man's swollen face and stepped aside. Come on in. Inspector Jing sat dressed in a traditional tang suit, puffing leisurely on a long cigarette holder. Ever since his public fallout with Jing Chengchao in 1972, his influence had dwindled, though he still commanded deep nominal respect. What brings you to my door, Yi? Jing asked calmly. Lu Xingye spilled the entire story, detailing his attempt to shake down Lu Xiao and the subsequent beating by the Mad Tiger's crew. Inspector Jing listened quietly, a sharp glint appearing in his eyes. He dialed a direct number. Ah Run, it's Jingshu. I need a favor. Right, let's meet in Sha Tin. Jing stood up and smoothed his robes. Let's go. We're heading to Sha Tin. Meanwhile, at the Black Tiger Martial Arts Association, I sat in the second-floor viewing gallery, watching two students spar. Crow nudged my arm. Boss, who do you think that punk Lu is going to drag out? Whoever it is, I'll make sure they leave with a matched set of bruises. Crow chuckled. Man, Sha Tin has been too quiet lately. If he brings out heavy hitters, it'll give me a decent workout. I shot him a dry look. You're just itching to pick a fight. The association had become a melting pot over the past year, aspiring youths, corporate white-collar workers, and everyday merchants. The first floor served as the combat arena, the second as the gym, my quarters occupied the third, and the fourth held a tea room and restaurant kitchen. Heavy footsteps echoed up the stairs. Camel walked in, flanked by a frail, elderly Inspector Jing and a battered Lu Xingye. Ah, so they brought out a senior relic. I stood up with a welcoming smile. Big boss, what brings you out of headquarters today? Camel shot me a meaningful look. I nodded and turned to Crow. Go down to the cellar and grab a couple of bottles of the good vintage. Bring them up to the fourth floor tea room. Crow glanced at Lu Xingye's swollen face, made a playful slicing gesture across his throat, and trotted off. I extended a hand. Big boss, Jingshu, please. Let's take this upstairs. In the fourth floor tea room, I ushered Camel into the seat of honor. I turned toward Inspector Jing. Jingshu, since you're a respected elder in the Tung Fat Wo, I'll be up front. This idiot came into Sha Tin trying to wreck our local business. If I let him walk away, how am I supposed to maintain order? Anyone who tries to slap me loses half their teeth. Inspector Jing glanced at Camel, noting the dragon-head's silence, and nodded. Old Lu, you're the backbone of Dongxing here, so your dignity needs to be preserved. I came to ask for a cup of tea to settle the score, and to show our sincerity. Old Dong is willing to offer a formal alliance, a dual flower arrangement. I raised an eyebrow. A literary double flower or a martial one? Jing let out a dry wheeze. Naturally, a literary one. The door swung open, and Crow marched back in carrying 2 bottles of vintage wine, setting them down on the mahogany tea table. Boss, should I pop these? Pour the tea first. Get the good tea. Got it. Crow expertly brewed oolong and poured a glass for Camel. Loud ding, try this out. Camel lifted the crystal glass, sniffed the aroma, and burst out laughing. Crow, you're more filial to your boss than your own mother. I'll make sure your name stays on the senior promotion roster this year. Much obliged, loud ding. Crow grinned, glancing at Lu Xingye. Does Sha Tin get any extra promotion slots this year? Greedy bastard. Camel chuckled. Sha Tin hasn't hit its 3-year anniversary yet. Old Lu still needs his name enshrined at headquarters for another 3 years before sponsoring a splinter branch. I chimed in. Big boss, make sure you reserve a white paper fan position for me. The Wanlong Mountain project is almost finished, and I need a qualified administrator. Wanlong Mountain was a sprawling property I'd acquired just outside Sha Tin near the racecourse, transformed from overgrown hills into prime real estate through direct infrastructure investment. I turned back to Inspector Jing. Have him hand over 20% of the Lu family assets to Lu Xiao as compensation, and we'll call this matter permanently closed. Inspector Jing immediately nodded. Agreed. The matter ends right here. Lu Xingye opened his mouth to protest, but a cold glare from Inspector Jing shut him up. Losing 20% was a mercy. As for the rest, Inspector Jing continued. After the ancestral ceremonies, I want to officially graft our Tung Fat Wo branch into your alliance. Camel's eyes widened. Securing a formal cross-faction alliance with Tung Fat Wo was a massive diplomatic coup. Jingshu, you really know how to play the long game, I murmured. Alright, if you bring your people into our orbit, nobody in Sha Tin will touch your storefronts. Inspector Jing finished his tea and stood up. Business is concluded. I'll take my leave. I'll have Crow walk you out, I said. As the doors closed, Crow whistled softly. Did we just conquer half of Kowloon without throwing a punch? It's not about conquering Crow. It's about building a system where fighting you is a terrible business model. We'll secure the Earth and Big Black. You can take either Northern District or Suan Wan and let Wo Xing Saint sort it out themselves, I told Jingshu. Once Tung Fat Wo displayed their double flower, my guys could openly back them up. Crow had been whining about Sha Tin being boring, so I let him lead the charge in Northern District. Crow's eyes lit up. Jing Shu, if you trust me, just hand Tung Fat Wo's boys over to my command. I guarantee a squeaky clean Northern District. No problem. Tung Fat Wo is already at rock bottom, Jing Shu muttered. Camel wore a knowing smile. I was trading Northern District for those crucial streets in Kowloon City, pushing into Yaotsinmong. Jing Shu shot me a long, examining look before turning back to Camel. Camel chuckled. As long as old Lu doesn't get triggered, his head is sharper than anyone's. That's why he stays parked in Sha Tin. You've got the 5 tigers, Jing Shu praised. Big picture-wise, old Lu is the strongest. Yao Yeung is a master of layout, skimming tiger handles maneuvering. Shamu is a beast in a fight, and Ho Nan is a fierce solo bruiser. The new batch is scarier. Camel laughed heartily. I just got lucky. He pointed at me. He's smooth, but he pisses you off so badly you want to scream. He's like a boiled pig that doesn't fear boiling water, squatting in Sha Tin. Jing Shu chuckled. He makes Sha Tin an impenetrable fortress. That takes actual talent. Recruiting me years ago remained Camel's crowning achievement. My sheer combat prowess provided an impenetrable layer of insurance. He drove out to Sha Tin every few weeks to check in. Emotion plus mutual interest formed the strongest chain. The more Camel thought about it, the better he felt. He took a sip of red wine, drinking himself right into a stupor. On the drive to Kowloon City, Lu Xingye snapped back to reality. He turned to Inspector Jing. Jing Shu, why are you doing this to me? Inspector Jing wore a cold smile. Ah yeah, before he passed away, your father entrusted Xiao to my care, but never ungrateful leeches like you. Tonight, I'm taking you as a welcoming gift to hand over to Dongxing. Play along, or else. Old-timers who survived decades in the gutter were never saints. In front of Camel, he played the humble negotiator. But in front of Lu Xingye, he was an apex predator. Over at Yuan Long, Camel had slept for 2 hours, chugged sobering soup, and summoned Gu Huolun, his chief strategist. Listening as Camel laid out the events, Gu Huolun clapped his hands. Brilliant. Claiming the Tung Fat Wo alliance gives us moral high ground. Justice backed by muscle is a razor-sharp blade. Though I have to say, old Lu really has the universe on his side. If only his mental state was stable. Camel smiled wryly. I wonder when his condition will ever stabilize. Gu Huolun poured tea. Dragonhead, old Lu's state might be a blessing. At least he'd never. Camel cut him off. Drop it, Ah Lun. I trust my own judgment. He would never move against me. A flicker of hesitation crossed Gu Huolun's eyes. Hearts are notoriously difficult to read. A little paranoia keeps you alive. Camel took a sip of his tea. To use a man is to trust him. I treat them with absolute sincerity. Even hearts of stone can be warmed. Seeing that Camel refused to budge, Gu Huolun pivoted. Who do you plan to put in charge of Kowloon City? Old Black is stepping down, Camel said, rubbing his temples. Wang Taisin is easy, but Kowloon City and Kwantong need heavyweight anchors. What about Kaylee, one of Jing Shu's men? Send him to Kwantong. The local red pole there is a clown, Gu Huolun said. Kowloon City needs to stay under our direct control. What if we hand Kowloon City to someone from Shuiling's faction? Gu Huolun grinned. Brilliant. It pulls Shuiling's claws back closer to home and cements your authority. Book-Shu's subordinate, Ah Bao, had been secretly colluding with the Three United Society. Book-Shu was playing both sides. Gu Huolun offered a subtle smile. Out of Shuiling's top fighters, the best wrecking ball is Wu Shang. Throw him into Kowloon City. If he survives, good. If he dies, nobody loses sleep. Agreed. I'll settle it tomorrow, Camel nodded. Prep for old Lu's dual flower ceremony. I'm leaving that entirely to you, Ah Lun. Gu Huolun laughed dryly. Of all the 5 tigers, old Lu is my favorite lunatic. Ho Nan is arrogant, Shamu a brute, Yao Yeung extreme, and Ah Wei scares me most. Camel waved dismissively. Ah Wei knows he owes his position to me. He's smart enough not to bite the hand that feeds. Gu Huolun asked, do you think old Lu's clubhouse project near the racecourse will work out? Camel winced. He didn't spend much on the land, but construction costs are staggering. A massive entertainment venue in Sha Tin with digital ranking boards sounded like alien language. But Wanlong property and sanitation pull in steady cash. If he wants to burn cash, let him. Down at the Black Tiger Martial Arts Association, Crow stood chewing a toothpick, staring down Lu Xiao. Lu Xiao pulled out a thick stack of bills. Manager Chen, please take this. Crow shoved her hand away. My boss made it crystal clear. Eating without paying is stealing. Keep your money and pay your security fees on time. Tomorrow, you'll receive 2/10 of the Lu family assets. Organize your Tan family cuisine recipes, expand the menu, and write down traditional dining etiquette. We'll have business opportunities later. Lu Xiao bowed deeply before leaving, determined to execute his plan to perfection. Inside, Crow dropped into the seat next to me. Boss, who are you planning to run that new spot on Portland Street? Da Dong from Portland Street. His enterprise skills are solid. Crow grumbled. A pimp turned manager? Is it worth it? Don't underestimate anyone, Crow. A pimp survives by reading micro-expressions. Can you smile and kiss up to strangers all day? Crow shook his head. I can crack skulls, put a man in the right slot, and his potential is infinite. A bloodied scout burst through the doors. Boss, big trouble. Crow bolted upright. What happened? Some punks from the Red English Society's Mongkok branch are flooding our turf with product. Crow blew his whistle. Mongkok, huh? Those bastards are stepping out of line. My temperature spiked. Flooding my turf with outside contraband without permission was an act of war. I stormed toward the stairs. If they don't respect my boundaries, I'll carve out a deep grave and bury them right here in Sha Tin. Crow jabbed a finger at the scout. Ring the bell, round up every 4 to 9 and prep for a raid on Mongkok. Within minutes, the hall echoed with the shouting of 300 elite fighters grabbing duffel bags filled with iron pipes and steel blades. I stood at the front, holding 3 sticks of green incense. I bowed before the statue of Shang Yu and jammed the incense into the bronze burner. A cold smirk touched my lips. Behind me, 300 enforcers roared in unison. May the martial sage protect us. Victory on the first strike. I had moved the Shang Yu shrine into the hall after discovering that paying respects left my mind and body humming with peak vitality. My energy levels stayed maxed out, and my recovery was inhuman. I swept my gaze across the sea of fierce faces. Our monthly security payroll tops 1 million. 300 men is our ceiling. Today, we march on Mongkok. Let's show the Red English Society how Sha Tin handles trespassers. Kill. The roar rattled the windows. Outside, 300 enforcers poured into 30 transport vans, the heavy doors slamming shut. My black BMW took the lead, engine roaring as a massive convoy kicked up dust, rocketing towards Shamshui Po while phones blew up across the territory. Hey Fai Wang, it's Flying Keong from Chaler. Did you hear about Sha Tin Old Lu? Yeah, just got the word. What's crawling up that lunatic's ass this time? No idea, but he's rolling deep with a full brigade towards Shamshui Po. Look, I gotta go check my construction sites before Old Lu flattens the district. Over at Red Star headquarters, Chang's private line rang incessantly. Brother Tai, I just got word. Both Dongxing's Shamshui Po branch and the Sha Tin brigade are moving out toward Mongkok. Are they coming for us? Camel frowned heavily. Wait, who's moving? Shamshui Po and Sha Tin, Yao Yang and Old Lu. Understood. I'll handle it. Camel slammed down the phone and bolted toward headquarters. Inside the Roland Bar on Garden Street in Mongkok, the primary stronghold of the Red English Society, a terrified scout burst through the doors. Boss, bad news. The mad tiger of Sha Tin is rolling in with an army. Selling dong, sitting behind the counter nursing a drink, nearly choked. What do you mean? Wearing a black leather windbreaker and red hair. The drug dealer sprang to his feet, grabbing his subordinate by the collar. It's true, boss. They've already reached the Garden Street intersection. Selling dong cursed furiously. Damn that bastard, Storm Tiger. Do you really think I'm scared of you? Storming over to the counter, he yanked out a machete and led his thugs into the street. Past midnight, Garden Street had transformed into a triad battlefield. Crow barreled forward like a maniac, his double-edged blades flashing as he cut down anyone in his path. Fucking bastards, coming to my turf. I'll hack you to pieces. Back at the intersection, Wang Ji asked, Boss, do you want me to drag that dong guy over here? Xing Lang waved a hand. No, today we're setting an example. We don't stop until the Red English Society's Mongkok branch is wiped out. It was time to kill a chicken to scare the monkeys. Bathed in neon glow, several hundred men clashed. Sha Tin enforcers wore red ribbons, Red English members wore white. A Red English enforcer slashed across a Sha Tin fighter's chest, but no blood sprayed. Taking advantage of the moment, the Sha Tin fighter drove his blade home. Eat shit, fake. That single strike exposed what he wore underneath, a heavy, multi-layered cowhide vest. The Red English thugs stared in shock. These Dongxing bastards are fighting dirty. Who wears actual armor to a turf war? Sha Tin's enforcers pushed the enemy back to the Violet Bar, right into selling dong. Why are you running back? Dong demanded. Dongxing's guys are wearing cowhide vests, and our blades won't cut through. Xing Lang hadn't skimped on effort, paying a leather factory top dollar for custom soft cowhide. I'll fuck your mother, Dongxing punks. Dong roared. Well, Dongjie, why so angry? Shirtless and dragging a heavy machete, Crow sauntered up. Selling dongs running scared. Slaughter the rest of them. Dong pointed his blade at Crow. Are you trying to start an all-out war with the Red English Society? Ha! War? I'll give your old mother a war. Chop them to pieces. Dongxing enforcers charged. Selling Dong led his remaining men in a counterattack, but his blade barely dented the enemy's armor. Move aside, you useless piece of trash. Crow tossed a lackling away and thrust his blade at Dong's face. Clang. Metal shrieked as Crow blocked Dong's counter. Is that all the strength you've got? Time to die. Blood sprayed as blades flashed. Crow spat on the ground and ordered, bag him up and let's go home. The Red English Society's Mongkok branch was shattered. Lei Yao Yang immediately led his forces to occupy the territory, wrapping up the war in under 2 hours. Walking up to Qing Lang, Yao Yang asked, Old Lu, you're the one who conquered Mongkok. What are your thoughts? Holding on to Mongkok is your problem. Just send me 50,000 for medical expenses later. If that bastard selling dong hadn't provoked me, do you think I even knew who he was? Qing Lang only wanted to fortify Sha Tin. High-profile turf held zero appeal for him. Watching him walk away, Lei Yao Yang muttered, the universe really has a sense of humor. Before long, a panting Xiaoming rushed over. Where's Old Lu? He went back. So soon? It's already over? Old Lu's enforcers hit too hard. Xiaoming turned to his men. You guys stay and help Yao Yang hold Mongkok. As Xiaoming prepared to leave, Camel intercepted him. He already finished up and went back to Sha Tin. Xiaoming shrugged. Back at the Sha Tin Black Tiger Martial Arts Association, a blood-soaked crow reported, Boss, a single selling dong could cough up over 10 million. Why did he have the nerve to mess with us? Xing Lang patted his shoulder. Good. Exactly when I needed to start a small business. Keep the goods safe, and bring the rest over to Old Ghost Quan tomorrow. Down in a Yao Tsim Mong tea restaurant. Hey, let me tell you, yesterday Dongxing's Crow wiped out the Red English Society's Mongkok branch. I heard they wore cowhide vests during a street fight. Even if they took the turf, it wasn't a fair fight. Who wrote the rulebook saying you can't wear armor? Mongkok is about to get wild. Do you think Hung Sing's Jin Kun and Yi Tung's Wang Po will make a move against Dongxing? Who knows? Hung Sing and Dongxing have always been at each other's throats. Does anyone even know why Dongxing suddenly attacked Red English? I heard Storm Tiger Qing Lang has a thing with the Red English Dragonhead's daughter, Jiang Ying. He couldn't stand seeing his woman bullied by selling drug dong. Huh, I heard it was because selling drug dong started pushing drugs in Sha Tin. Ta Shesh. It's obviously because the Dragonhead's daughter served the Storm Tiger so well in bed she brought him to tears. Inside the Sha Tin Black Tiger Martial Arts Association bedroom. Are you a senior inspector with nothing better to do? Qing Lang barked into his phone. Jiang Ying's a clean maiden, have I even met her? Seated at his office desk, Luke Kai-Cheong shot back. Panicking already? If you didn't do anything, why get defensive? Do you have actual work, or are you just so bored you need to patrol the streets? Qing Lang countered. Let's talk business, Ah Lang. You can't touch selling drug dong. My boys are using him as bait to reel in his supplier Chu Tao. Qing Lang flat out denied everything. How would I know where he is? I came back right after the fight yesterday, and went straight to sleep. Don't ruin this, Ah Lang. My boys have been busting their tails for half a year. Qing Lang fell back on his triple denial. Sparing details was survival. Sighing, Luke Kai-Cheong guessed the truth. Selling drug dong was either buried in the dirt or feeding fish. Ah Lang, why haven't you gone to see the police psychologist? Your mental state is getting serious. Suppressing a chuckle, Qing Lang dropped his voice into a somber register. Sir, once you step into this abyss, there's no turning back. No way home, crippled by anxiety and insomnia. The mental illness is minor, sir. But where does my future lie? Luke Kai-Cheong was left speechless, offering only encouragement. I'll find you a way out. Just hold on. Qing Lang curled his lip. You don't even have a personal word to give, yet you're out here handing out blank checks. Fine, whatever. In a few days, I'm opening 2 new branches, Qing Lang said. Which syndicate this time? Old Dongxing. Qing Lang hung up, straightened his clothes, and waited for Camel's call. Boss. Old Quan is on the phone, Crow shouted. Got it. Qing Lang went downstairs and picked up the receiver. Boss, what's on your mind? Bring selling drug dong. The Sha Tin headquarters, Old Ghost Quan came over to demand people. Received. I'm on my way. At the Yuan Long Main Street headquarters, Qing Lang strode briskly into the conference room. It was lively inside. Lei Yaoyang and Xiaoming sat on either side of Camel. Across from them sat a man in his 50s, accompanied by a woman in her 20s. Old Sixth, the Lacklings called out. Camel waved him over. Come sit. Qing Lang sat next to Xiaoming. Crow scanned the visitors, leaning down to whisper. Boss, since when do losers come asking people back in our own house? Camel shot Qing Lang a warning glare, then turned to Jiang Chuan. Don't take it personally, Quan Shu. Jiang Quan said, I'll pull rank and call you Old Sixth. Hand Ah Dong over to me, and let's call this settled. Qing Lang let out a dry laugh. Your red English man reached his hand into my territory, so I flattened your branch. Does a basic street dispute require your dragon head to personally show up, or are you trying to throw your seniority around? Jiang Ying slammed her hand down, pointing at Qing Lang. Do you have any respect for the rules? My father is the red English dragon head. Is that any way to talk to your elders? She was fired up because rumors claimed she was warming the bed of this punk. Crow rolled his neck. His boss didn't hit women, but Crow had 0 such taboos. Little Sixth sister is back. Strutting through the double doors came He Aojun, rocking a massive wave of hair and a sharp business suit. She pulled out the chair next to Qing Lang and slung an arm around his neck. Little Sixthy, did you miss your big sister? Every Dongxing member took a step back. No one wanted to cross paths with this gorgeous apex predator, Black Phoenix. Jiang Ying stared in disbelief. Does this woman have 0 manners? Glaring at Camel, she spat. Is this Dongxing's family upbringing? Hearing that, Camel sprang up and grabbed He Aojun by the arm. It's my birthday tomorrow, He Aojun. Do me a favor and keep the peace. He Aojun gave Jiang Ying a slow, icy appraisal. Little sister might be lacking in the chess department, but your temper's huge. Watch your mouth, otherwise I'll send you straight to heaven. Half a year ago, He Aojun had tracked Qing Lang down in Sha Tin just to debate explosives and rocket launchers. Camel turned back to Qing Lang. Wrap this up. Qing Lang nodded, waving at Crow. Show Quan Shu what we brought. Crow hauled a heavy black plastic bag and dumped it onto the table. Jiang Ying glanced down, threw both hands over her mouth, and bolted, vomiting loudly. When the rest saw the contents, their faces drained of color. Whether Dongxing or Red English, everyone stared at Qing Lang with creeping terror. 2 weaker-stomached members stumbled blindly out the door. Even veteran scumbags like Jiang Shan felt a cold prickle of caution. This man is dangerous. Little girls shouldn't skip school to play triad. Qing Lang sneered. I'm giving Quan Shu some face today. Next time you try running your mouth, figure out the consequences. Taking a slow drag from his cigarette, Qing Lang locked eyes with Jiang Chuan. Quan Shu, you aren't taking him back in one piece, but I left you a few souvenirs. Take him back and brew some wine. Outside, Jiang Ying was still retching violently. Jiang Quan's face hardened. Aren't you going a bit too far? Qing Lang's eyes flashed with a dangerous blood-red tint. I'm calling you Quan Shu out of respect. Without that respect, I'd drop you straight into the harbor. I heard you were looking to pass the Red English leadership down to someone else. Do you need me to help clean up the disobedient fish first? This is just a warning. Next time, I'll wipe out Red English entirely. Jiang Quan's body stiffened involuntarily under the predatory pressure. He knew the cardinal rule. Never go to the knife with a lunatic. Sensing things escalating, Camel stepped in. Quan Shu and my father go way back. Do me a favor and keep it civil. He Aojun leaned in closer to Qing Lang, draping an arm over his shoulder. Need big sister to help you clear house? I brought some wonderful new toys back from overseas. Excellent blast radius. Camel slapped his forehead. He, Aojun, stop messing around. Realizing he couldn't stay in this madhouse, Jiang Quan spoke through gritted teeth. Ah Dong brought this on himself, but you Dongxing bastards must return Mong Kok. Qing Lang pointed at Lei Yaoyang. Want Mong Kok back? Ask him if he agrees. Lei Yaoyang waved a hand. Want Mong Kok? Red English. Come and take it. I'll be waiting. Jiang Chuan turned his glare to Camel. And your final word? Camel replied firmly. Your Red English started this. We play by Underworld rules. You have 7 days to fight for Mong Kok. I can't force Yao Yang to hand it over. Jiang Quan narrowed his eyes. No other choice? Camel leaned back, lit a cigar, and blew smoke. Dongxing will drop 20 million as a buyout fee, and I'll personally host 18 banquet tables for you at Dragon Phoenix Tea House to settle our score. Quan Shu, what do you say? Jiang Quan clenched his fists. Triad business is settled with blades. That blood money is too hot to touch. I won't take it. Throwing down those words, Jiang Chuan grabbed his trembling daughter and stormed out. Watching them leave, Camel curled his lip. Standing up, Camel clapped Qing Lang on the shoulder. Old Sixth, you did a fantastic job today. Left with no other choice, Dong swung desperately for his opponent's head. Clang! The Shatin fighter parried the blow upward, his arm going numb from the shock. Not bad, selling drug Dong really lives up to his reputation as a Red English Red Pole. Move aside, you useless piece of trash. Crow grabbed the lackling by the collar, tossed him behind like a rag doll, and thrust his blade straight at Dong's face. Dong leaped back 2 steps and slashed diagonally. Clang! The metal-on-metal screech echoed loudly as Crow blocked the strike. Crow grinned. Is that all the strength you've got? Time to die? Slash. Blood sprayed as blades flashed. Spitting on the ground, Crow pointed his blade tip at Dong and ordered, bag him up and let's go home. The Red English Society's Mong Kok branch was shattered. Lei Yao Yang immediately led his forces to occupy the territory, wrapping up the war in under 2 hours. Walking up to Qing Lang, Yao Yang asked, Old Lu, you're the one who conquered Mong Kok. What are your thoughts? Tossing an arm around Yao Yang's shoulder, Qing Lang chuckled. Holding on to Mong Kok is your problem. Just send me 50,000 for medical expenses later. If that bastard selling drug Dong hadn't provoked me, do you think I even knew who he was? Sha Meng rushed over, demanding where old Lu was, before turning to his men with a wave. You guys stay and help Yao Yang hold Mong Kok. As Sha Meng prepared to return to Yuan Long, Camel intercepted him, but Sha Meng just shrugged that Qing Lang had already gone back to Sha Tin. Back at the Sha Tin Black Tiger Martial Arts Association, a blood-soaked Crow reported, Boss, running a drug front is insanely lucrative. A single selling drug Dong could cough up over 10 million. Why did he have the nerve to mess with us? Qing Lang smiled, patted Crow's shoulder, and told him to keep the goods safe and bring the rest to Old Ghost Quan tomorrow. Down in a Yao Ma Te tea restaurant. Hey, did you hear? Dongxing's Crow wiped out the Red English Society's Mong Kok branch. I heard they wore cowhide vests during a street fight. Who wrote the rulebook saying you can't wear armor? Mong Kok is about to get wild. Do you think Hung Sing's Jin Kun and Yi Tung's Wang Po are going to make a move against Dongxing? Who knows? They've always been at each other's throats. Does anyone know why Dongxing attacked Red English? Apparently Storm Tiger Qing Lang has a thing with the Red English Dragon Head's daughter, Jiang Ying. He couldn't stand seeing his woman bullied. THS. It's obviously because she served the Storm Tiger so well in bed she brought him to tears. Inside the Sha Tin Black Tiger Martial Arts Association bedroom. Are you a senior inspector with nothing better to do? I barked into my phone. Jiang Ying's a clean maiden, have I even met her? Seated at his desk, Luke Kaichong shot back. Panicking already? If you didn't do anything, why get so defensive? Do you have actual work, or are you just so bored you need to patrol the streets? I countered. Let's talk business, Ah Lang, Luke Kaichong pivoted. You can't touch selling drug Dong. My boys are using him as bait to reel in his supplier, Zhu Tao. I flat out denied everything. How would I know where he is? I came back right after the fight yesterday and went straight to sleep. Don't ruin this, Ah Lang. My boys have been busting their tails for half a year. I fell back on my classic triple denial. Keeping cards close to your chest was survival. Sighing, Luke Kaichong guessed the grim truth. Selling drug Dong was either buried in the dirt or feeding fish. Ah Lang, why haven't you gone to see the police psychologist? Your mental state is getting serious. Suppressing a chuckle, I dropped my voice into a somber register. Hey sir, once you step into this abyss, there's no turning back. No way home, crippled by anxiety and insomnia. The mental illness is minor, sir. But where does my future lie? Lu Kaichiang was left completely speechless, offering only encouragement. I'll find you a way out. Just hold on. I curled my lip at the blank checks. Over the past year, I had fed him scraps of intelligence while keeping my safety paramount. Lu Kaichang drew big pictures in the sky. I enjoyed the free art exhibition. Fine, whatever. In a few days, I'm opening 2 new branches, I said. Which syndicate this time? Old Dongxing. I hung up, straightened my clothes, and waited for Camel's inevitable call. Boss. Old Quan is on the phone, Crow shouted from outside. Got it. I headed downstairs and picked up the receiver. Boss, what's on your mind? Bring selling drug Dong. The Sha Tin headquarters, Old Ghost Quan came over to demand people. Received. I'm on my way. At the Yuan Long Main Street headquarters, a BMW pulled up, and I strode briskly into the conference room. Lei Yao Yang and Sha Meng sat on either side of Camel. Across from them sat a man in his 50s and a woman in her 20s. Old Sixth, the lacklings called out. Camel waved me over. Come sit. I pulled out the chair next to Sha Meng and sat down. Crow took his position, leaning down to whisper, Boss, since when do losers come asking people back in our own house? Camel shot a warning glare, then turned to Jiang Chuan with a friendly smile. Don't take it personally, Quan Shu. Jiang Quan said, I'll pull rank and call you Old Sixth. Hand a dong over to me, and let's call this settled. I let out a dry laugh. Your Red English man reached his hand into my territory, so I flattened your branch. Does a basic street dispute require your dragon head to personally show up? Slap. Jiang Ying slammed her hand down, pointing straight at me. Do you have any respect for the rules? My father is the Red English Dragon Head. Is that any way to talk to your elders? Fired up by wild rumors that she was warming my bed, she was beyond furious. Crow rolled his neck. His boss didn't hit women, but Crow had zero such taboos. Little sixth sister is back. Strutting through the double doors came He Aojin, rocking a massive wave of hair and a sharp business suit. She pulled out the chair next to me and slung an arm around my neck. Little sixty, did you miss your big sister? Every Dongxing member instinctively took a step back from the apex predator, Black Phoenix. Jiang Ying stared in disbelief. Does this woman have zero manners? Glaring at Camel, she spat. Is this Dongxing's family upbringing? Hearing that, Camel sprang up and grabbed He Aojun by the arm. It's my birthday tomorrow, He Aojun. Do me a favor and keep the peace. He, Aojun, gave Jiang Ying an icy appraisal. Little sister might be lacking in the chess department, but your temper's huge. Watch your mouth, otherwise I'll send you straight to heaven. Half a year ago, He Aojun had tracked me down in Shatin just to debate explosives and rocket launchers. Camel turned back to me. Old sixth, wrap this up. I nodded, waving at Crow. Show Quan Shu what we brought. Crow hauled a heavy black plastic bag and dumped it onto the table. Jiang Ying glanced down, threw both hands over her mouth, and bolted, vomiting loudly before reaching the exit. When the rest saw the contents, their faces drained of color. Whether Dongxing or Red English, everyone stared with creeping terror. I pulled out the chair next to Xiaoming and sat down. Crow took his position behind me, leaning down to whisper, Boss, since when do losers come asking people back in our own house? Camel shot a warning glare, then turned to Jiang Quan with a friendly smile. Don't take it personally, Quan Shu. Old Sixth just has that kind of temper. Fixing his gaze on me, Jiang Quan said, I'll pull rank a bit and call you Old Sixth, just like Arun does. I gave a casual nod. Quan Shu is a senior in the underworld. Whatever makes you happy. Good, Jiang Chuan continued. Old Sixth, our two sides have always stayed out of each other's way. Hand Ah Dong over to me, and let's call this whole business settled. What do you say? I let out a dry laugh. Quan Shu, things need to be made clear, right? I'm a lazy guy. I honestly hate explaining things. But seeing as you're up there in years, I'll explain it to you just this once. Your Red English man, selling drug dong, reached his hand right into my territory, so I flattened your Red English branch. Simple triad logic. Does a basic street dispute really require your Red English dragon head to personally show up, or are you trying to throw your seniority around to claw back some face? The dragonhead's daughter, Jiang Ying, slammed her hand down on the table, pointing straight at me. Do you have any respect for the rules? My father is the Red English dragonhead, a senior of the older generation. Is that any way to talk to your elders? Rumors flying around East Kowloon had whispered that she was warming my bed, leaving her with no way to wash herself clean of the gossip. Crow rolled his neck. I didn't hit women. A crow had zero such taboos. Little Sixth sister is back. Strutting through the double doors came a striking woman over 1.5 meters tall, rocking a massive wave of hair and a sharp black business suit. She offered Camel a brief nod before pulling out the chair right next to me and slinging an arm around my neck. Little Sixty, did you miss your big sister? She purred. Every Dongxing member in the room instinctively took a step back from the apex predator, Black Phoenix, He Aojun. Jiang Ying stared in disbelief. Glaring at Camel, she spat, Is this Dongxing's family upbringing? Camel sprang up and hastily grabbed He Aojun by the arm. It's my birthday tomorrow, He Aojun. Do me a favor and keep the peace, all right? He Aojun gave Jiang Ying a slow, icy appraisal. Little sister might be lacking in the chess department, but your temper's huge. Watch your mouth from now on, or I'll send you straight to heaven. Camel turned back to me. Old Sixth, wrap this up. I nodded, waving back at Crow. Show Quan Shu what we brought. Crow grinned wickedly, hauling a heavy black plastic bag and dumping it onto the table. Jiang Ying glanced down, threw both hands over her mouth, and bolted, vomiting loudly before reaching the exit. When the rest saw the contents, their faces drained of color. Whether from Dongxing or Red English, everyone stared at me with creeping terror. Two weaker-stomached members stumbled blindly out the door, unable to hold it down. Even veteran scumbags like Jiang Quan felt a cold prickle of caution. Shifting gears, I sneered. Little girls shouldn't skip school to play triad. I'm giving Quan Shu some face today. Next time you try running your mouth without knowing your place, figure out the consequences yourself. Tossing a cigarette between my lips, I let Crow spark it. I took a slow drag, locked eyes onto Jiang Quan, and tapped the table. Quan Shu, you aren't taking him back in one piece, but I left you a few souvenirs. Take him back and brew some wine. Jiang Quan's face hardened into stone. Aren't you going a bit too far? Too far? My eyes flashed with a dangerous blood-red tint. I'm calling you Quan Shu out of respect. Without that respect, I'd drop you straight into the harbor. I heard you were looking to pass the Red English leadership down to someone else? Do you need me to help clean up the disobedient little fish in your ranks first? Not even Dongxing dares throw its weight around in my territory what makes Red English think they're special. This is just a warning. Next time, I'll wipe out Red English entirely. Jiang Quan's body stiffened involuntarily under the sheer, predatory pressure. As an old-timer, he knew never to go to the knife with a lunatic. Sensing things escalating, Camel stepped in to mediate. Quan Shu and my father go way back. Do me a favor and keep it civil. He Aojun leaned in closer to me, draping an arm over my shoulder. Need big sister to help you clear house? I brought some wonderful new toys back from overseas. Excellent blast radius. Camel slapped a hand against his forehead. He Aojun, stop messing around and let me live a few more years. Jiang Chuan spoke through gritted teeth. Ah Dong brought this on himself, so his business ends here. But you Dongxing bastards must return Mong Kok. I let out a cold snort, pointing at Lei Yao Yang. Want Mong Kok back? Ask him if he agrees. Leaning back with a breezy smile, Lei Yao Yang waved a hand. Want Mong Kok? Red English, come and take it. It's been too long since I've experienced the thrill of a flying human body. I'll be waiting. Jiang Quan's face turned livid. And your final word? Camel replied sternly. Quan Shu, your Red English started this. We play by Underworld rules. You have 7 days to fight for Mongkok. If I forced Yao Yang to hand it over just like that, I couldn't face my own brothers. Jiang Chuan narrowed his eyes. No other choice. Camel shook his head. No other choice. Out of respect for our past connection, I'll offer one concession. Dongxing will drop 20 million as a buyout fee, and I'll personally host 18 banquet tables for you at Dragon Phoenix Tea House to formally settle our score. Face and money, both given. What do you say? Buying out Mongkok for 20 million was a steal for Dongxing, but if Jiang Chuan accepted, Red English would lose all internal respect. Jiang Quan clenched his fists. Triad business is settled with blades. That blood money is too hot to touch. I won't take it. Throwing down those words, Jiang Quan grabbed his trembling daughter and stormed out. Watching them leave, Camel curled his lip in disdain. Standing up, he clapped me on the shoulder. Old Sixth, you did a fantastic job today. You really don't view me as a lady at all, do you? Saying stuff like that right to my face. I smirked. If we can't speak our minds, ambition loses all its meaning. True, Octopus replied. Everyone's confidence stems entirely from their bank account. I nodded. Money, or leverage, turns strangers into instant besties. When they need you, they'll roll out the red carpet. When they don't, they flip the script. Money solves 90% of life's problems. The rest just means you need more money. They say you have to crawl through the mud to make your money before you get to stand tall and make choices. She noted. Do you agree? I made a finger gun gesture, then curled it into a tight fist. Nah, if you've got enough power, you can skip the crawling part entirely. Octopus gave me a respectful thumbs up, bold. If you've got both cash and muscle, you really can call the shots. I clinked my glass against hers. To that exact sentiment, cheers. Dinner was surprisingly pleasant. With Octopus flushed and tipsy, I signaled the waiter for the check. Sir, your table's bill has already been settled. I handed over a $10,000 note. Buy yourself some tea. Thank you, sir. I supported Octopus to the car and buckled her in. Where do you live? Sky Garden. I chuckled. Well, look at you, hiding a secret millionaire lifestyle. Tapping her chest proudly, Octopus boasted. You know it. Filthy rich. Arriving at the high-end Simshatsui residential complex, Octopus raised an eyebrow. Want to come up for a drink? Hesitation is defeat. Her luxury apartment was easily 1,000 square feet. Kicking off her high heels, Octopus waved a hand. Make yourself at home. My family's in Taiwan. I slipped into slippers and kicked back. Octopus brought over whiskey and ice. I usually drink alone. She smiled, dropping ice cubes into my glass. Thanks for a genuinely great evening. Bottoms up, I said. Wine with a confidant is never enough. Bad company leaves you speechless. But with you, I could listen all night. Octopus blinked. I didn't take you for a poetry guy. You don't sound like a typical street gangster. Finding a young man who knew classic Chinese poetry was rare. We started with Tang poetry, and I delivered a live-action remix of Quiet Night Thoughts. Bed, bright moon, floors shine clear. Shoes on floor, 2 pairs here, raise head, watch moon, pure sight, lower head, sleep super tight. Octopus burst into laughter, tears streaming down her face. Where do you even come up with this stuff? The drinks flowed. Octopus appreciated Chinese history, but I treated her to a snippet of a song about a monkey king breaking through celestial cages. She stared at me through hazy eyes. A Lang, is that song about breaking out of your own cage? I grinned. Nah, just breaking doors down. Morning arrived with a pillow striking my face. I'm going to murder you. Octopus chased me around the bed in her silk pajamas. Time out, I caught the pillow. Let's review the facts objectively. Didn't we both drink too much? She glared at me, flushed crimson. I was drunk. You were drunk too. I spread my hands. Exactly. You basically dragged me across the finish line. I hate you. She lunged, unleashing a flurry of uncoordinated hammer fists. After a truce, I lit a cigarette. All right, performance over. Any last words? Who's acting? She shot back. I chuckled. If you didn't want me here, you wouldn't have invited me up. She snorted, poking my chest. All right, fine, but from now on, you're mine. No wandering eyes. That's a bold strategy, I teased, pinning her back down. Resting her head against my shoulder later, she traced my collarbone. Tell me the truth. Are you really a cop? Does it matter? I guess not. As long as you're you, that's enough. I got dressed. I've got business at the Sha Tin branch today. I'll swing by tonight. She groaned into her pillow. You're the worst. When I opened the door to leave, I set a bag of freshly bought breakfast on the table. Over at the Sha Tin Black Tiger Martial Arts Association, Tai Chi and I were sparring in the ring. Tai Chi lunged with a heavy side kick. I sidestepped, caught his knee, swept his pivot leg, and tapped his chest with a controlled palm strike. He staggered back, gasping. Tai Chi raised a hand in surrender. I'm done. Every time I hit you, it's like punching a brick wall. Every time you hit me, I feel like I've been hit by a truck. Crow tossed me a towel. Your Muay Thai is all brute force, Tai Chi. Try redirection. Tai Chi wiped his sweat. The skill gap between us is too wide. Seriously, how did you train this body? I motioned toward Lai Fu, who had just ambled in. Take a breather. Let my boy Lai Fu show you what natural talent looks like. An hour later, Tai Chi sat in the corner of the ring looking like his worldview had blue-screened. Useful? I asked. Tai Chi let out a defeated sigh. You guys aren't human. I thought I was the top dog in Hong Kong's underground fighting scene, even Lai Hao and Wang Bao would only give me a 50-50 match. But compared to you freaks, I'm a joke. Before long, my top guys Wu, Crow, Da Dong, and Wang Jiu earned an infamous collective title, the 4 Heavenly Kings of Sha Tin. Back in Yao Ma Te, Tai Chi walked into his office, bruised and battered. Ah Sa rushed over. Boss, what happened to your face? Who jumped you? Tai Chi swatted him. Shut up. It was old Sixth from Sha Tin. Ah Sa's jaw dropped. That's it. I'm calling the whole crew. I said sit down. Tai Chi interrupted. I had a sparring match. The guy is a monster. and his subordinates aren't much better. Of course, the local street gossips got a hold of the story by lunchtime. Breaking news. The undefeated Red Star War god, Tai Chi, actually got beaten down in Sha Tin. I heard it straight from the gym. The Storm Tiger's 4 heavenly kings dismantled him one by one. The gossip spread like wildfire through every tea house in Yau Ma Tei. Messing with Sha Tin was a one-way ticket to the hospital. Early the next morning, a shrill telephone ring ripped through my bedroom. If this isn't an emergency, you better pray your funeral is cheap. Ah Lang, it's me, Uncle Chin. I rubbed my temples. What's wrong? Do you have any idea what you've done? Uncle Chin's voice vibrated with rage. Why did you let Tai Chi broadcast your private sparring match? Do you know how much face Hung Sing lost today? We just had a friendly spar. The man asked for a beatdown, and I happily obliged. A friendly spar? Uncle Chin groaned. Every syndicate is trying to build up their fighters' reputations, and you just turned Hung Sing's top fighter into your personal stepping stone. Do you want every triad boss knocking on your door? Let them come. My doors are always open, and my fists are ready. Uncle Chin hung up in exasperation. Right after, another call came in from Camel. Get over to the UN Long headquarters. We need to talk. On my way, boss. At the UN Long main hall, Camel sat flanked by Lei Yaoyang and Xiaoming. You've been making quite a bit of noise lately, Camel said. Just keeping our territory safe, boss. Can't let outsiders think Dongxing is soft. Camel sighed, a faint smile tugging at his lips. You took Mong Kok. You humiliated Hung Sing's top fighter, and now half the city is talking about your 4 heavenly kings. What's your endgame? I leaned back with a relaxed grin. Just want to make money, drink good wine, and keep my brothers fed. It's free advertising. Just don't start a full-scale war without telling me first. Now, let's talk business. Outside, the grand opening ceremony was a spectacle Dongxing had spared zero expense for. Spotting me walking up to Sansheng Temple, Camel burst into laughter and clapped Uncle Chin on the shoulder. Uncle Chin, thanks for gracing us today. You've got to drink a few extra rounds with me. Uncle Chin shot him a withering look. Do I even have the option of saying no? This show is for the whole Hong Kong underworld to witness. That opening plaque belongs to them now, Camel chuckled. As Camel welcomed me, I cupped my fists. Wandering the rivers for 10,000 years, the 5 lakes converge where the 3 rivers meet. Where the iron chains cross, my path begins. Uncle Chin stepped in with a mischievous glint. An underworld elite worthy of the frost flower, sharing the same root and bloodline. 2 dragons and serpents, raising brave men today. From this moment on, we walk as one. Camel's brow furrowed. That wasn't the script. Uncle Chin lifted a vibrant red silk flower, pinned it to my right shoulder, and recited. The Eastern character opens the gates, protecting the righteous standard. A 489 of the rightful mountain, Dongxing's 426 red pole A Lang, now head of the Dongxing Syndicate. Behold, the token of transition. My brain blue-screened. Camel felt his head spin, mentally cursing Uncle Chin's entire ancestral lineage. To pull off this opening today, he had inadvertently shoved his favorite subordinate into a trap to save face. Surrounding triad bosses exchanged knowing glances. Camel had to choose between the prestigious plaque or a powerhouse like me. Camel swallowed hard and gave me a grim, apologetic nod. I caught on immediately. My gaze locked onto Camel, who guiltily averted his eyes. Internally, I was thrilled. Taking over Tung Lok Wo had net benefits. I snatched the Tung Lok Wo leadership token from Uncle Chin and turned to the elders. The token is right here. If any of you have a problem with me taking over, step forward right now and say it to my face. The elders cupped their fists in unison. Tung Lok Wo, 426 red pole. Ing Tung greets the new dragon head. Tung Lok Wo 415 white paper fan. Sin Le King greets the new dragon head. Tung Lok Wo 426 red pole. Chan Fai greets the new dragon head. The entire faction bowed deeply, their unified roar echoing across the square. My eyes flushed with a faint crimson tint. I stalked over to Camel, ripped the red silk flower off my shoulder, and tossed it onto the token. Dropping to one knee, I clasped my fists. Boss, token, and red flower presented. Thank you for looking out for me. Let this token clear our ledger. Camel looked like he was about to burst into tears. A Lang, he rasped, his eyes burning red. He picked up the token, dusted it off, and personally pinned the red silk flower back onto my shoulder. Dongxing grants you the double flower. From this moment on, wherever you move, Dongxing's entire military might backs you up. Turning to the crowd, Camel roared. Today, the Dongxing Syndicate proudly opens its new branch. 489, Low Pack Run proudly bestows the Frost Flower upon A Lang. From this day forward, Dongxing's troops march at his command. Everyone caught the subtext. I was still fundamentally a Dongxing man. The red tint in my eyes faded. I stood up, cupping my fists toward the 4 compass points. I'd like to clear the air. The rumors regarding Tai Chi and me are complete nonsense. We sparred with honor, fought to an absolute standstill, and there is nothing but mutual respect between us. Chang Ting Sang's face lit up. I turned directly toward Tai Chi. Tai Chi, I recognize your real strength. Right here, in front of all our friends at Sansheng Temple, let's swear a blood oath of brotherhood. Tai Chi was caught completely off guard, still kicking himself over his angry outburst. Having grown up in Hung Sing, cutting ties was impossible, but hearing my words, his eyes welled up with gratitude. He stepped forward. We met through martial arts, bonded through righteousness, and united through brotherhood. I, Guanchi Tai, swear to walk this oath of sworn brotherhood with A Lang. Chang Ting Sang strode forward, beaming broadly. You two are the absolute finest talents in our world today. A sworn brotherhood is magnificent, but I want to add a little something extra to celebrate. What do you say, A Lang? Please, Chang Sheng, go ahead, I replied smoothly. Chang Ting Sang turned to the gathered crowd. Today, since A Lang didn't get to sit at the highest seat, my Dongxing Syndicate is going to pin an extra flower on his chest as a token of our utmost respect. He grinned at me. A Lang, do you accept this flower? I glanced sideways. Camel gave a microscopic nod. I am deeply honored, Chang Sheng. I cupped my fists. In that silent exchange, a razor-thin tactical consensus formed among me, Camel, and Chang Ting-sang. Chang Ting-sang pulled a red silk handkerchief from his pocket, folded it into a blooming flower, and pinned it proudly to my chest. I bowed in gratitude, then turned to Tai Chi with an outstretched hand. Brother Tai, after you. With ceremonial requirements met, under the watchful eyes of the Hong Kong underworld, Tai Chi and I officially cut our fingers and swore brotherhood before the deities of Sanxing Temple. Uncle Chin beamed, hosting guests like a proud grandfather. Camel wore a smile that looked 10 times more painful than crying. Chang Ting-sang kept pulling Tai Chi along to clink glasses, happier than a pig in slop. Not only had he provided a graceful exit, but he secured a backdoor channel to influence Tung Lok Wo through our newly forged bond. The underworld had just witnessed the birth of a 3-flower red pole. The gossip mills would feast on this single day for months. First, Tung Lok Wo handed over sacred founding tokens to swap for me. Second, I swore blood brotherhood with Hung Sing's premier enforcer. Third, Chang Ting-sang bestowed a 3rd flower, granting me cross-syndicate standing. From this day forward, while dragonheads might still call me A Lang, every mid-level boss across the city had no choice but to address me as Brother Lang. For a top-tier powerhouse to shoulder the sinking wreckage of a third-rate street gang, just to pull his boss's chestnuts out of the fire showed a dying breed of loyalty. Tung Lok Wo's title sounded fancy, but it was essentially a rotting ship. Still, better to be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix. Once festivities wound down and everyone drifted back to their turfs, we reconvened behind closed doors at the Sha Tin Black Tiger Martial Arts Association. Camel and I stood glaring daggers at Uncle Chin. Uncle Chin offered a sheepish grin. I had no choice. I'm shipping off overseas soon, and I needed to leave Tung Lok Wo in capable hands. You old bastard, Camel roared. Why didn't you discuss it with me first? Would you have agreed? Uncle Chin countered. Well, obviously not. There you go, Uncle Chin shrugged. If you wouldn't have agreed, why waste breath? Besides, the token is handed over, and Dongxing is now the undisputed, legitimate master of East Kowloon. Right, A Lang? Camel pointed a shaking finger at me, then glared back at Uncle Chin. I stepped up, my expression colder than winter ice. Uncle Chin, you totally ambushed me. You owe me a serious explanation. You shoved a bankrupt dumpster fire into my lap, and you expect me to just smile and take it. You know my reputation, you better make this worth my while. Uncle Chin chuckled. Consider the real estate I'm throwing in as my wedding gift. I still control prime plots in Kowloon City. I'll hand the deeds over the day you take official control. Plus, my personal villa is yours. All I ask is that you keep a bowl of rice on the table for the remaining Tung Lok Wo boys. I narrowed my eyes. Why me? Because you're crazy, and you actually have a code of honor, Uncle Chin replied softly. If you take over, I know this brand won't vanish into dirt. I'm too old to hold the line myself. I had to find a true apex predator to guard the gates. I let out a dry scoff. Turning to Camel, I crossed my arms. All right, boss. Now let's talk about our arrangement. Camel offered a strained smile, throwing his hands up. A Lang, I know I screwed you over today, but my hands were tied. If I didn't let Uncle Chin pull that stunt, Dongxing would have been the laughingstock of Hong Kong after Mongkok. Name your conditions. I'll make it right. Realizing I wasn't dropping my icy glare, Camel gritted his teeth. That heavy loan you took from the syndicate, consider it paid in full. I snorted. I'm still emotionally scarred. A muscle twitched in Camel's cheek. Fine. I'll personally cover all of Xiaoming's engineering debts out of my own pocket. I raised an eyebrow, letting a tiny smirk break through. Well, I appreciate you looking out for me, boss. A man's gotta eat. Just keep sending good opportunities my way. Camel rolled his eyes. Get out of my sight before I change my mind. You robbed me blind today, you ungrateful punk. I threw an arm around Camel's shoulder. Relax, boss. You're my big brother for life. Nobody touches a single hair on your head. If anyone tries, I'll skin him alive. Camel's mouth twitched into a reluctant grin. So, do you actually want the Northern District territory? I nodded firmly. Of course. If Woxing Sing thinks they can block Dongxing from expanding, I'll march our new Tung Lok Wo troops right into East Kowloon and shake things up. But we need a smoke screen. You and I need to stage a public falling out. We'll start a turf war, kick Woxing Sing out of the Northern District, and let Dongxing absorb the glory. Camel laughed, clapping my shoulder. You really are trying to use Dongxing as your personal shock trooper, aren't you? Fine. I approve. Let Wu lead the charge on this one. Deal. Back at Sha Tin, I summoned my core commanders Wu, Crow, Da Dong, and Wang Ju into the back hall. Before we could sit down, Lai Fu bounded over, tugging on my sleeve. Big brother. The others got cool titles like the 4 Heavenly Kings. What about me? I rubbed his messy hair. Alright, stop whining. You're too chaotic for a standard title. From now on, you're our central Heavenly King. Now go outside and play soccer with the kids. Lai Fu beamed, completely satisfied, and trotted off. Once he was out of earshot, I addressed the squad. Alright, listen up. We're launching our expansion into East Kowloon. You guys will move in right behind Dongxing's vanguard. Handle it however you see fit. Crow slammed a fist against his chest, grinning. Leave it to me, boss. Those Woxing Sing punks won't last a single round. Wu stepped forward, cracking his knuckles. I'll keep my eyes locked on Su and Wan. If their main force crosses the boundary, I'll shatter their lines. I shook my head. No, Wu. Just hold the line at Taipo. Let Xiaoming handle their minor probes. Got it. As for Da Dong, I continued, pointing to my newest lieutenant, you take mobile reserve command. Plug the gaps wherever our lines are stretched thin. Da Dong grinned. No problem, boss. My boys know how to throw hands. I trust you. If you can survive Portland Street, You can survive anywhere. Go make it happen. Meanwhile, at the Yuan Long Ancestral Hall, Camel called an emergency meeting with Kuo Luk and Water Ling. Laying out the situation flatly, Camel said, "You know what went down today? To save face for Dongxing, A Lang was forced to take over Tung Lok Wo. It's a huge loss on paper, but you know A Lang. Even after getting shafted, he still called me boss. He wants Northern District as compensation, and once the dust settles, he'll hand over Kowloon City, Kwantong, and Wang Tyson to us." Thoughts? Water Ling frowned slightly. Dragonhead, reclaiming our reputation was important, but trading a powerhouse like A Lang and his 4 heavenly kings for a dying third-rate faction feels like a bad trade. Kuo Lok sighed. It was our only option. Uncle Chin backed us into a corner. If A Lang hadn't stepped up, Dongxing's credibility would have been completely ruined. Sure, Tung Lok Wo is a crumbling mess right now, but we need to support A Lang whenever we can. Camel slammed his fist on the table. Exactly. Not just whenever we can always. As long as A Lang recognizes me as his boss, I've got his back to the end of the earth. Waterling nodded. Alright, if that's your call, let's have Ing Xiong lead the vanguard into East Kowloon. Kuo Lok added. And as for Wang Tai-sin, let Tai Mi take it over. Camel smiled. Perfect. It's settled. Back in my Sha Tin quarters, my phone rang. I picked up the receiver. Yeah? Make it quick. Luk Kai Chiang's voice came through, dripping with disbelief. A Lang, what the hell is going on? Are you out of your mind? I leaned back against the headboard. Morning, sir. What did I break this time? Don't play dumb. I get reports that my top undercover asset just took over a triad syndicate. I let out a slow chuckle. Camel sold me out to save his skin, and Uncle Chin blindsided me with a leadership token. It was a package deal. This isn't a program, A Lang. Dongxing is about to march into Kowloon City. You have to stop them. With what army? I shot back. Luk Kai Chiang lowered his voice. You have to find a way. I let a cold edge slip into my tone. If Dongxing doesn't take over Mongkok, can you guarantee you'll wipe out the drug lords? Luk Kai Chiang froze, completely speechless. Let me ask you another one, I pressed. All those millions in pure white powder your department seizes, where does it actually go? Does it get destroyed, or does half of it find its way back onto the streets? A Lang, save it. Do you have any idea what my first realization was when I dug into Dongxing's drug network? I wanted to hunt down the corrupt officers sitting comfortably in their air-conditioned offices while my brothers bleed out in the gutters for your justice. The line went dead silent. Do you really want to test if I'm crazy enough to launch a rocket launcher straight at the police headquarters? A Lang, listen to me. Luk Kai Chiang panicked. Calm down. Just take a deep breath. He knew I was completely unhinged. If I actually shelled the police headquarters, it would trigger a massive scandal. More importantly, my words struck a raw nerve. Give me some time. A Lang, Luk Kai Chiang whispered, defeated. Just give me a few days. I stared at the receiver with a slow smile. Laying groundwork for over a year finally paid off. I didn't care about saving the world, I just wanted an impenetrable fortress. If the system tried to crush me, I'd burn the city down. Down in Yao Mate, Lei Yao Yang sat darkly at the piano, hammering out a tempestuous melody. A junior lackey burst in. Big brother. A phone call from old Ting. Lei Yao Yang shot the rookie a lethal glance. Remember, next time you interrupt my playing, figure out your own funeral arrangements. He stalked over to the phone. Big boss. What's up? Yao Yang, once A Lang takes the Northern District, he'll hand Kowloon City, Kwantong, and Wang Tai-sin over to us. Keep Woxing Sing's reinforcements pinned down. Does your end have any problems? Don't worry, boss. My fuse is already burning. I'll lock down Woxing Sing's reinforcements myself. I'll dispatch elite enforcers right now. Play it however you want. Camel chuckled. Got it, boss. I'm hanging up. Lei Yao Yang slammed the phone down and gestured to a subordinate. UK, we've got work tonight. Out at the Sha Tin New Town, Wang Jiu addressed his men. The boss wants us to block Big Dark. What do you say? Don't worry, 9G. Anyone who blocks our rice bowl is an enemy. Wang Jiu raised his voice. Severance pay doubled. Medical expenses fully covered. Big red envelopes for everyone after the job. Go gear up. As the crowd dispersed, Wang Jiu kept Tiger behind in the office. Wang Jiu tossed Tiger a cigarette. Tiger, your logistics security squad is sitting this out. Tiger frowned. Why? Orders from the boss, Wang Jiu explained. He calls you guys his secret weapon. Using you for a tiny scuffle like this would be using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. Tiger's brow smoothed out, though the nickname left him itching for action. Past midnight, the Northern District erupted. Crow and Ingtung clashed with Dongxing's vanguard in what looked more like a theatrical brawl than a turf war, but the chaos eventually spilled into Woxing Sing's territory. Both Dongxing and Tung Lok Wo pivoted their aggression onto this new target. Wu took the point, cutting through Woxing Sing's lines. Lan Mingquan, the local branch leader, pointed a shaking finger at him. What the hell? You Dongxing bastards are crossing the line. Do you really think Woxing Sing is made of soft tofu? Drawing his blade, Wu charged. Halt, demon monkey. Erlang Shen has arrived to claim your head. Time to die. Confused by the theatrics, Lan Mingquan barely blocked 3 strikes before Wu's blade slit his throat. He dropped to the pavement and went still. Wu flicked a droplet of blood off his blade and lunged back into the fray. Following behind, Tung nudged Crow. Are all of Dongxing's fighters absolute lunatics? Crow shoved him back. Who the hell are you calling a lunatic? Nung Tung slapped his mouth in mock horror. My bad. Six brother is the boss of Tung Lok Wo, now we've got nothing to do with Dongxing. Crow rolled his eyes and bellowed. Give it to him. The boss is pissed. Over at the Woxing Sing headquarters in Chakuo Ling, a lackey sprinted to Uncle Tang's quarters and pounded on the door. Uncle Tang shuffled out in silk pajamas, leaning on his cane. What is it? Feng Mohu and Dongxing are at war, and they've dragged us into it. Uncle Tang's eyes narrowed. Are you saying Sha Tin's A Lang and Dongxing are fighting in the Northern District? Yes. Our boys got caught in the crossfire. Go wake Hua Shiyan and the other elders. Emergency meeting immediately. By 3 a.m., the headquarters was ablaze with light. Uncle Teng sat at the head of the long table, brewing kung fu tea. Sha Tin's A Lang and Dongxing are tearing up the northern district. What are your thoughts? Chung Po slammed his hand on the table. It's a theatrical double act. Their target is Dragon Root Street. Lung Qi agreed. Everyone knows what Camel thinks of A Lang. You really think a minor disagreement makes A Lang flip on Camel? They're treating us like idiots. Uncle Teng glanced at Chui Chai. How do you suggest we handle this? Chui Chai offered. I think we should reinforce the northern district. We can figure out the rest after sunrise. Uncle Teng tapped his fingers. That turf isn't going anywhere. We need to figure out their secondary target. Their play is too transparent. Big Boss stood up, his eyes widening. Wait, notify Taipo's Big Dark immediately. Their target isn't the north, it's Suan Wan. We can afford to lose the north, but Suan Wan cannot fall. Uncle Teng nodded. Suan Wan is heavily fortified. I'll reach out to Camel after sunrise. For now, tell your men to stand ready. Warn Big Dark to lock down Sha Tin. Big Boss nodded grimly. If Woxing Sing can't handle Dongxing, we can at least crush Sha Tin. The next morning in Suan Wan, Big Dark rolled out of bed to a frantic banging on his front door. Long Mao burst into the hallway, panting. Boss, Dongxing and A Lang just wiped out our northern district branch. Big Dark stared in shock. What do you mean it's gone? The assault was led by a guy named Wu. He fights like a rabid animal. Lan Mingquan is dead. Wu slit his throat in 3 strokes. Useless trash. Big Dark roared, turning back toward his bedroom. Call the elite enforcers. His girlfriend woke up, stretching lazily. Who did it? Dongxing and A Lang. They cleaned out the north in a single night. Straightening his collar, she advised, when you go to headquarters today, keep your mouth shut. Let the old fossils talk. If they tell you to send troops, go through the motions. Stay out of the crossfire. Big Dark kissed her forehead, laughing. You're right. Let them bleed first. Over in Simshatsui, I was downstairs running through my daily martial arts routine, striking the air with a whistling snap. Practice makes perfect. Personal strength was the only currency that mattered. Once I finished, I headed back upstairs for breakfast. Octopus placed a warm glass of milk on the table. Someone called for you earlier. Said his name was Crow. I'll call him back in a minute, I replied, sitting down to devour a sandwich and washing it down with the milk. Wiping my mouth, I walked over to the telephone. Crow, what's the damage? Crow laughed on the other end. Smooth sailing, boss. Big Dark and Big Boss didn't make a single move. Just wanted to update you. I lit a cigarette, taking a slow drag. Looks like those old fossils at Woxing Sing still have too many thoughts bouncing around their hollow skulls. Since they're hesitating, let's force their hand. Have Wu hold the north, and tonight, you go smash Big Dark's turf. We need to end this small-time drama quickly. I've got real work to do. I don't have time to play tag with Woxing Sing. Real work? Crow asked, confused. What work? The blueprints I showed you the other day, I chuckled. Go down to Kuntong and hire me a few competent electronics engineers. You got it, boss. I'll get right on it. After hanging up with Crow, I dialed Camel to brief him on the updated schedule. Camel laughed heartily. Do it. Let's force a real fight. Otherwise, I'm afraid those old bastards will lose their nerve. Shortly after, as I sat sketching a home appliances distribution scheme, someone pounded on my front door. I pulled it open to find 2 burly, unfamiliar thugs standing in the corridor. Frowning, I asked, who are you looking for? The guy in the lead stared down at me. You A Lang? Come with us. Someone wants a word. Before they could even register my motion, I struck twice a pair of crushing punches driving straight into their throats. Both men dropped to the floor like felled trees, gasping and clutching their windpipes. See? Staying in shape pays off. My hand speed was simply too fast for ordinary thugs to track. Looking down at the 2 foaming, eye-rolling idiots twitching on my welcome mat, I spat, Suicide Squad, huh? I walked back inside and dialed Luk Kai-chiong's direct line. Hey sir, Block 6, Flat 601, Garden Estate, Simshatsui. We've got 2 home invaders bleeding out in my hallway. Send a cleanup crew. On the other end, Luk Kai-chiong went completely blank. Garden Estate, A Lang, oh god. He bolted out of his office door. Sir, where are you heading? Do you need backup? A subordinate called out. Stay put. Luk Kai-chiong barked over his shoulder. I've got personal business to handle. He jumped into his unmarked cruiser, drove like a maniac to Simshatsui, and flashed his badge at the security gate. Senior Inspector Luk Kai-chiong, West Kowloon Regional HQ. Responding to an emergency call, the guard nervously waved him through. Block 6, Flat 601, sir. Arriving at the door, Luk Kai-chiong stared down at the 2 unconscious thugs, feeling a massive migraine coming on. A Lang, my boy. I told you to see a therapist, not a mob boss's daughter. I opened the door to find Luk Kai-chiong standing there with a face that looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. Senior Inspector, I said, pointing down at the floor. Some lost tourists wandered into my hallway. The security here really needs an upgrade. Luk Kai-chiong ignored the sarcasm, marched into the living room, dropped onto the sofa, and glanced toward the master bedroom before looking back at me. You slept with her. You really shouldn't have slept with her. Well, accidents happen. I smiled, sitting down next to him and casually offering a cigarette. Relax, sir. It's just Louis Lok. What's he going to do? Send an assassin? Luk Kai-chiong took the cigarette with a trembling hand, letting out a long sigh. A Lang, you don't understand. Even though Louis Lok is exiled in Taiwan, his influence hasn't evaporated. I owe him favors, and so do half the senior officers in this colony. Out of all the women in Hong Kong, why did you have to pick his daughter? Because she's great company, I replied smoothly. Just take these 2 clowns away, and tell their boss that if he sends anyone else, I won't just break their throats. Luk Kai-chiong rubbed his temples. How am I supposed to explain this to Louis Locke? When he left in 74, he explicitly entrusted Octopus to my protection. Now you've gone and put a ring on her, metaphorically speaking, in a matter of days. I threw an arm around his shoulders. Chill out. Just tell Louis Locke that once I finish cleaning up my current workload, I'll fly to Taiwan and pay him a personal visit. Tell him to stop sending amateurs. Look, Kai Chiang groaned in defeat. If a war broke out between Louis Locke's old guard and my growing empire, half of Hong Kong would burn. I didn't dwell on that topic, instead turning my attention to sir. Have you figured out your next move yet? Luke Kai Chiang looked toward the doorway and lowered his voice. Lang, give me some time to really think about it. I nodded. Sure, I won't pressure you. After all, forced water is never sweet. Call me when you've decided. Luke Kai Chiang stood up. You were right about everything yesterday, but this isn't something one or two people can just change. I tapped my chest. If you don't do it, and I don't do it, nothing's ever going to change. It simply comes down to wanting to live comfortably in our own territory. Is that really too much to ask? My patience was wearing thin, and Woxing Sing was making things even worse. It took until afternoon for all of Woxing Sing's branch leaders and veteran uncles to finally gather at the Chakuo Ling headquarters, with Uncle Tang sitting prominently at the head of the table. He scanned the room and spoke up. I'm sure everyone's heard about yesterday's events. How do we plan to handle this? Your respective bosses should have already given you a heads up. If you have any issues, speak up now. Big Boss immediately raised his hand. Uncle Tang, I need reinforcements. Yuan Long is Dongxing's backyard, and their manpower is practically endless. Sha Tin's sixth brother might not have a completely unified force, but it's close enough. I'm caught right in the middle, and based on my current numbers alone, I can't guarantee I'll hold Suan Wan. Hearing this, Old Ghost N sitting beside Chu Chai scowled. Big Boss, your Suan Wan branch has the strongest forces in Woxing Sing. Now that the syndicate is facing trouble, you're trying to dodge the work. Are you even part of Woxing Sing anymore? Old Ghost N saw right through Big Boss's petty maneuvering, unaware Big Boss had missed the previous briefing. Big Boss exploded, slamming his palm onto the table. Old Ghost N, you shameless bastard, don't talk to me like that. So what if I'm from Woxing Sing? Good things never come my way, but whenever there's dirty work, you expect me to jump into the fire. Whose reputation is this anyway? My seniority isn't high enough to carry Woxing Sing's banner. Uncle Tang caught the underlying meaning. He knew the last election hadn't been fair to Big Boss, but the syndicate needed balance. Big Boss's Suan Wan branch was already absurdly powerful. Allowing him to become the Dragon Head would have made the organization spin out of control. That was why he and the senior uncles had elevated Wan Chai's branch leader, Chui Chai, instead. Uncle Tang tapped his cane on the floor. Big Boss, I know you still carry a grudge over the last election, but this is a decades-old tradition. All of us senior uncles went through the exact same thing. What do you have to complain about? Big Boss let out a cold, bitter laugh. Uncle Tang, what am I complaining about? I'm simply saying that the Suan Wan branch cannot withstand an all-out offensive from Dongxing and the New East, and I need the general headquarters to send backup. The New East was now led by Feng Mohu, and everyone knew the terrifying caliber of Feng Mohu and sixth brother. Wiping out the Hung Ying and Mong Kok branches in 2 hours proved their strength. With my territory wedged directly between Dongxing and the New East, refusing to send support left him fighting a war on two fronts. So, Uncle Tang, I can't carry this heavy burden. My seniority isn't enough, my strength isn't enough, and if I can't hold the line, am I not allowed to ask headquarters for help? Am I still a member of Woxing Sing or not? Big Boss was an orthodox underworld figure bound by traditional rules, but he possessed the ruthless competency required to conquer Suan Wan. Those who refuse to use their brains are nothing more than lackeys, fit only to eat scraps, while the ones who feast on meat are always the wolves and tigers. Nobody reaches the top without a solid foundation. Uncle Tang wasn't angry. Big Boss's assessment aligned perfectly with the conclusion they had reached the previous day. Dongxing and Sha Tin's ultimate target wasn't the barren northern district, but the lucrative streets of Suan Wan. Big Boss Quan stepped in to mediate. Big Boss, what you're saying makes sense. If I send my forces to help you, and directly attack Sha Tin to relieve the pressure, would that solve the problem? Big Boss stared in disbelief, trying to figure out what game this old fox was playing. Still, since it benefited him, he nodded. Then, let's do it by Quan's method. I'll hold the line against Yuan Long, and Sha Tin is all yours. Big Boss Quan kept his objections to himself. He still needed Big Boss to speak up for him at General Headquarters, and helping defend Suan Wan was the least he could do. Meanwhile, at the Sha Tin Black Tiger Martial Arts Association, I stepped out of my car and ran straight into a headache. Feng, didn't you and I have a falling out? Why are you here again? Feng glared at me. I don't have time to mess around. Didn't you say you'd act as my middleman? Now that you've become the New East's guardian and taken on a red pole flower, hurry up and contact Glacier. Once this is sorted, I need to fly back to the Netherlands. Right, my bad. Let me call Shi Yan and have him get in touch with Glacier. I walked inside, picked up the telephone, and dialed Shi Yan. Shi Yan, it's A Lang. Need a favor. Alright, let's meet at the Hong Yan Tea House in Kowloon City. I hung up and turned to Feng. Let's go. Glacier is in Hong Kong right now. Feng nodded. Sixth brother, I'll remember this favor. If you ever need anything, just say the word. A convoy tore toward Kowloon City, my BMW leading and Feng's 4 bodyguard vehicles trailing. Feng sat in the passenger side, lighting a slim cigarette. Sixth brother, now that you're a New East Guardian, you should think about what I told you. Pull this off, and I'll give you a 20% cut. I kept one hand on the steering wheel, rolling down the window to flick ash outside. Feng, let's drop this. Whatever you're planning is your business, but don't touch Big Boss. Otherwise, even if you hide out in the Netherlands, I won't let it go. Feng stared at me before letting out a soft laugh. Sixth brother, you know what I admire most about you? My flaws outweigh my virtues, I replied dryly. Aside from a brain that occasionally misfires, I have no idea. Feng took a long drag. Everyone calls me a madwoman, but a woman running in the underworld needs something fierce. I can feel that you're just like me, you're faking your insanity too. That shared scent is impossible to hide. I glanced sideways in surprise. Why are you telling me all this? Because, Feng smiled. I want to find a true ally. The trait I admire most in you is your absolute loyalty. Recalling my past strategies, I realized I had never truly treated her as an equal. If we want to be true friends, we have to open our hearts, Feng said. Am I right? Whether I'm faking my insanity or not, I actually have official certification from Qingshan Psychiatric Hospital. Feng blinked. You. What? I'm a certified mental patient, I said smoothly. And more importantly, I'm legally classified as mentally incompetent, with zero criminal responsibility. According to Hong Kong law, if someone commits a crime due to mental illness, they bear no criminal liability, only medical treatment or supervision. The worst penalty I'll ever face is taking a vacation in Qingshan. Honestly, I like it there. Feng stared, dumbfounded. How on earth did you pass a psychiatric evaluation? I rubbed my fingers together. Money makes the ghost push the mill. In Hong Kong, with enough cash, anything is possible. Feng gave me a thumbs up. Sixth brother, you really are something else. Our convoy pulled up in front of the Hong Yan tea house, where Shi Yan was already waiting. Seeing my car, he hurried over with a bright smile. Sixth brother, thanks for raising the recycling rates, my pockets are a lot heavier. In the past, Shi Yan called me Little Sixth, but my new position demanded respect. We'd known each other long enough that standing on ceremony felt fake. Mutual benefit, I replied. You're making money, and I'm not losing any. How's the expansion with Dragon going? Shi Yan explained. Dragon and I are cooperating to expand into other areas. We did clash twice over scrap collection turf. Who would have ever thought people would start wars over garbage? I laughed. Never underestimate the scrap business. Wanlong Recycling became the industry leader thanks to my Dongxing status. I turned to introduce them. Feng, this is Shi Yan, Red Pole and Kowloon City branch leader for Hung Sing. Feng nodded. Pleased to meet you. I'm Dongxing's Black Hawk Feng. Shi Yan cupped his fists. I've heard a lot about you. Ah Bin talks about you all the time. Nothing good, I'm sure. Not at all. Ah Bin calls you a heroine among women, completely peerless. Just then, a 4-car convoy pulled up. Glacier stepped out and cupped his fists. Sixth brother, Feng, nice to meet you both. Glacier, you're too polite, Feng returned the gesture. I reached out to shake Glacier's hand. Shi Yan, and I go way back, so just call me Sixth brother. Glacier shook his head with a chuckle. I can't do that. You're a new East Guardian with a red pole flower. Sixth brother is the only fitting title. Alright, enough chatting, let's head inside, Shi Yan said. We filed up to a private room on the second floor. Once the waiter served tea and left, I poured 4 cups. I invited you two here to act as a middleman for your maritime disputes. Peace is worth more than gold. Minor friction shouldn't stop people from doing business. The syndicate belongs to everyone, but business belongs to the individual. Am I right, Glacier? Glacier nodded. Sixth brother, you're spot on. My conflict with Feng is purely profit-driven. Fighting on the open sea burns hard cash. Every clash means wasted fuel. It all comes down to how we slice the pie. Feng set her teacup down. Glacier, continuing this war won't benefit either of us. Smuggling contraband isn't easy. Instead of dumping profits into the ocean, why don't we split the market? Go on, Glacier urged. Feng raised 5 fingers. If we join forces, we can easily swallow half of Southeast Asia's underground arms market. You handle Western Bloc gear. I handle Soviet Bloc gear. We can negotiate a system that works for both sides. Glacier studied Feng for a moment. Cooperation is fine, but we both know this partnership has zero security guarantees. Who's going to guarantee this deal? Feng pointed straight at me. Sixth brother is a new East Guardian with authority to act as our guarantor. Both sides respect him. What do you think? The underground arms market around the Golden Triangle, Indonesia, and war-torn regions was astronomical. If they monopolized half of it, their revenue would be a mountain of gold and silver. Glacier turned to me. Sixth brother, what's your take? I shook my head immediately. The risk and reward don't match. I don't have the heavyweight clout to guarantee a deal of this scale. Once we step out onto the open ocean, the New East doesn't carry enough weight. Feng ground her teeth, glaring at me. She had been playing nice in the car, and now I was refusing to bite. She exhaled a cloud of smoke. Sixth brother, if you send a few men to help me secure this venture, I'll carve out half a share for you. Feng, I can't eat a pie that falls out of the sky. I don't have the maritime roots or manpower. Glacier glanced at Shi Yan, who chimed in. Sixth brother, I'll give you half a share too on condition your recycling corporation lets my big brother sing a track. Feng smiled. I'll give you a full 1.5 shares under the exact same conditions. I finally smiled. Since you insist, it would be bad form to keep playing hardball. How are the equity shares split? 3-way split, Glacier answered. I shook my head. Impossible. My recycling company is my most profitable enterprise. I'm only willing to give up 30%. Between us, we're taking 50%, Feng countered. Handing you half a share is just to pull you onto the boat, but we aren't budging beyond reason. How about 2 shares for you, 2 for you, and 2 for me? That's my absolute bottom line. Glacier and Feng nodded. They understood this, brought in a neutral heavyweight guarantor to mitigate risks. Ultimately, the losses of a war far outweighed my cut, and my company provided clean revenue to launder and reinvest without police attention. Shi Yan raised his glass. How about we change venues and grab a few drinks? We followed Shi Yan out. Outside, Feng and Glacier's bodyguards locked in a tense stare down. Glacier and Feng stepped in to separate them. Glacier told his right-hand man, Prince, to treat Feng's people with respect. Teaming up to rake in cash is smarter than tearing throats out. Prince grumbled but obeyed. They headed to Villa number 99 in Kowloon Tong. I looked around. This looks like an expensive watering hole. Shi Yan laughed. It's the finest spot in Kowloon City. Celebrities and tycoons are regular customers. Glacier and Feng followed close behind. When profits are large enough, sworn enemies become partners. The manager rushed out. Evening, Shi Yan Gay. What's our setup for tonight? I shot Shi Yan a sidelong look. This punk just said he couldn't afford to come here regularly. Shi Yan cleared his throat. Get us your best private room, stock it with liquor, and bring out the finest company. Up on the third floor, a luxurious private suite awaited us. Feng moved to the opposite end of the sofa to discuss operational roadmaps with Glacier. The manager returned, leading stunning hostesses and cracking open whiskey. To show appreciation, I'll drink this first. The manager laughed, downing the whiskey. I picked up my glass for a sip, patted the empty space beside me, and introduced him to Big Boss. The manager poured another glass. Sixth brother's reputation precedes him. Let me toast you. I tapped my glass and drained it. Brother, where do you source the latest karaoke equipment? Our boss has connections in Japan. The manager answered. Interested? I nodded. My club in Shatin is almost finished, and I want the newest gear. Mind introducing me to your boss? I'll need to run it by the boss first. He hesitated. I slid my minimalist business card across. He slipped it into his inner pocket. I'll excuse myself and get back to you as soon as I can. I gave his shoulder a pat. Big Boss nudged my arm. Can a high-end club really survive in Shatin? I clinked my glass. Only one way to find out. The head hostess knocked twice before leading a massive group of gorgeous women into the suite. Underworld gatherings always boiled down to alcohol, music, and women. Good afternoon, bosses. The hostesses chorused. Feng immediately perked up, pointing at two local girls. You two come here. I'm sick of foreign models. Hong Kong girls hit different. Neither I nor Han Bing blinked, both well aware of Feng's eclectic tastes. Big Boss looked over with mild curiosity before looking away, warned by Han Bing that Feng was a certified madwoman. The night wrapped up pleasantly. As we parted ways, Feng looped her arm around my shoulder. Old Lu, sister owes you one. Just say the word if you need anything. I swatted her hand away, checking my clothes. It's just mutual benefit, don't sweat it. I hopped back into my car and drove toward the Shatin command post. DUI laws didn't exist in my dictionary, and with Crow handling the front lines, I had zero reason to worry. After midnight, the Shatin forces mobilized at the Tsuanwan border. Crow nudged Wang Jiu, grinning. What do you say we take a quick bite out of Tsuanwan right now? Wang Jiu shrugged. If you aren't afraid of the big boss beating you to a pulp, go right ahead. Crow flipped him off. Damn it, are you even my buddy? Can't help it, Wang Jiu chuckled. I like my internal organs unruptured. The big boss hits way too hard. Crow sighed. Fine, let's just start a proper fight then. He waved at his grunts. Move in. The moment Crow's forces moved, Big Boss received the alert and barked orders to Longhair. Take some men and reinforce the border, but let the main hall grunts take the vanguard. Save on medical bills wherever we can. Got it, Big Boss. By the time Longhair reached Huailong Street at the border, a massive brawl involving over 1,000 people was underway. Crow's men weren't pushing hard, mostly swinging steel pipes and dull machetes in a veteran choreography of territorial dispute. Longhair waved his crew forward, roaring, "Drive these Sha Tin punks back." Crow stayed active in the thick of it, but Wang Jiu leaned against a wall with twin hammers, treating the skirmish like dinner theater, while Kowloon City fighters critiqued the chaos. After watching the farce, Longhair called Big Boss. The Sha Tin forces don't look like they're trying to take turf. It feels more like going through the motions. On the other end, Big Boss paused. Then play along. Pull the main hall fighters and redeploy to the Yuan Long border. Duzai just called Dongxing's pressure over there is no joke. Understood. Longhair returned to the front lines and shouted. Other sectors are getting overwhelmed. Main hall brothers, fall back to the backup zone. A Wo Xing Sing red pole batted away a steel pipe. Is Duzai's end that bad? Yeah, Longhair lied. Xiaoming's Dongxing crew is hitting them hard. Tank Uncle had already anticipated this, commandeering local transport along the transit routes. Meanwhile, things were blowing up at Dadong's home base in Xincheng. A panicked grunt burst into the Black Tiger Martial Arts Association. Dadong grabbed his machete. Go find 9 and the others on Huailong Street. I'll hold them off first. Dadong charged out with over 100 men toward Xincheng. Yet when they arrived, they stared in absolute disbelief. A group of Wo Xing Sing thugs wearing white armbands were getting beaten by a mob of fierce, middle-aged Xincheng locals wielding iron pipes and butcher knives. What the hell is going on? An uncle swung an iron pipe like a windmill. Punks coming to Jincheng to stir up trouble? You really think us old-timers are dead? Do you know whose turf this is? It belongs to Wanlong Company. Every civilian who had grabbed weapons had ties to my Wanlong Company. Dadong waved his hand. Hack these Wo Xing Sing punks to pieces. Duanzai, leading the invading force, felt his brain short-circuit. What kind of neighborhood watch was this? Seeing another 100-man wave pour in, Duanzai yelled. Fall back. We can't win this. The Wo Xing Sing thugs scrambled back toward Taipo. Dadong chased them relentlessly. Sons of bitches, cut them down. Realizing he couldn't outrun Dadong, Duanzai whipped around, their blades clashing in a shower of sparks. A sharp pain flared across Duanzai's chest. Ignited by desperation, Duanzai launched a flurry of wild strikes before fleeing into the night with his surviving grunts, cursing Sha Tin fighters for playing dirty. Dadong stopped at the city limits, spitting in disgust. Consider yourselves lucky. As he turned back, he ran into Crow and Wang Jiu. Crow jogged up, grinning. Where are those Wo Xing Sing punks? Dadong pointed into the dark, ran off. Crow laughed. Let's grab the cars and hunt them down. Dadong stopped him. Hold on. Didn't you wrap things up on Huilong Street? We never planned on having a real war. Crow shrugged. Heard Jincheng was getting hit, so we rushed back. Dadong checked his watch. It's 4 in the morning. Chasing them now is a waste of energy. Let's call it a night. Crow slashed the air in frustration. Damn it. Letting them live another day feels like a chore. Wang Jiu didn't even bother acknowledging them, walking past with his twin hammers slung over his shoulder. He watched a whole night of bad theater and desperately needed sleep. The night's chaotic brawl ended without a clear victor. Neither Woxing Sing nor the Sha Tin alliance gained any real ground, leaving both sides nursing heavy medical bills. The bottom-tier foot soldiers always drew the short straw, getting peanuts and injuries that barely warranted enough cash for a bottle of red medicine. Back in their respective luxury dens, the branch leaders were kicking back with drinks, waiting for reports. Big Black sat in his chair, swirling his glass as Duanzai stumbled in, covered in blood. What happened? I thought Sha Tin's main force was tied down in Suanwan. Duanzai ripped off his torn t-shirt, wincing. It went smooth at first. We pushed right into Xincheng. But then a bunch of middle-aged uncles came out of nowhere, wielding iron pipes like madmen. When Dadong's crew showed up, we couldn't hold the line. If I hadn't run fast, I wouldn't have made it back. Big Black's face darkened. Sha Tin hadn't even deployed its main forces, yet Duanzai had still gotten trashed. As the boss, he couldn't show weakness. He pointed at Duanzai's wounds. Did Dadong do all that? Duanzai nodded grimly. The four heavenly kings live up to their reputation. Even their weakest member hits like a monster. Dawn broke, sunlight spilling across the earth to remind the world that life moves on. I finished my morning workout and found Octopus still fast asleep. Leaving breakfast on the table, I headed for the bathroom. A moment later, Octopus padded to the doorway in her silk pajamas. "Hey Lang, someone's calling you." I wrapped a towel around my waist, poking my head out. "Go take a shower and come eat." She threw her arms out, lunging toward me. "Hey Lang, reward me with a morning kiss." I jammed a hand straight against her forehead. "Go brush your teeth first." Octopus pouted. "You weren't saying that last night." Life with Octopus was surprisingly harmonious. Beyond the bedroom, we clicked instantly, chatting effortlessly about everything from ancient history to philosophy. Our favorite topic lately was Qin Shi Huang, uniting the Six Kingdoms. Heading into the bedroom, I picked up the bedside phone. "What is it?" Crow yawned on the other end. "Boss, Big Black sent people to hit our Xincheng territory yesterday. I've been so pissed I couldn't sleep. We hit Woxing Sing first, so they had every right to strike back." I replied calmly. "Just make sure Big Black pays for it. Tonight, take your men and chase him all the way back to Taipo. Leave Suanwan alone for now." "Got it." I hung up, went back to the living room, and reheated breakfast. Octopus emerged from the bathroom, fresh-faced and smelling of soap, blowing me a flying kiss. "I believe in you." I gestured for her to sit down and grabbed a steamed bun. Ever since arriving in Hong Kong, my breakfast staple had been steamed buns and Xiao Mai. Octopus grabbed her small handbag and headed off to work. She took her job as a psychologist very seriously. Just as I was thinking about dropping by Prince's territory, Crow called back. "Boss, Camel wants you to call him." I dialed Camel's number. "Looking for me, boss?" Hearing that title put a massive grin on Camel's face. "Old Lu, Dengbo just called me about sitting down for peace talks. What do you think?" I frowned slightly. "Didn't we just start fighting? With Woxing Sing's strength, they should be able to hold out longer." Camel chuckled. Stargazer joined the fray, taking advantage of the chaos to push into Jordan. Did they take it? No. Lei Yumun, Yuto, and Mong Cox Duanzai reinforced the area instantly. It took the combined force of 3 branches just to hold Jordan. I caught Camel's drift. "Boss, you heard about Xincheng yesterday, right? Big Black crossed the line into my territory. I'm going to collect that debt. If you want peace talks, I'll play along for your sake, but..." Interrupting me, Camel's voice warmed. "We'll settle accounts with Big Black later. I won't let you get shortchanged, but stabilizing Kowloon City right now is our top priority." "All right, no problem. Where's the meet?" "Over the water in Wan Chai, at the Grand Emperor restaurant." I hung up, tidied my suit, and drove straight toward the Cross Harbor Tunnel. Crossing into Hong Kong Island for the first time, I took in the towering skyscrapers and bustling streets of Causeway Bay. As I drove, I realized I had drifted off course and pulled up outside a random tea restaurant to figure out where I was. "Boss, let me use the phone." I walked inside and greeted the owner behind the counter. "Go ahead, help yourself," the owner smiled, noting my expensive suit. I picked up the rotary phone and dialed Seto Honan in Xiun. "Honan, it's me. I'm lost. Send someone to drive me." Seto Honan barked out a laugh. "Where are you?" I looked at the owner. "What's the exact address here?" "Lao Ki Tea Restaurant, Pak Sha Road, Causeway Bay," the owner called out. I repeated it to Honan, hung up, pulled a $100 bill from my pocket, and laid it on the counter. The owner rushed to push it back. "It's just a phone call, don't worry about it. Put that away." I didn't take the money back. "Get me a glass of orange juice." I hated owing small favors. Half an hour later, a familiar-looking Dongxing associate walked in. Spotting me, he bowed slightly. "Sixth brother, I'm Ho Yong. Big boss sent me." Well, if it wasn't the legendary Ho Yong, the guy who supposedly drove the foreign model to exhaustion with 7 rounds in one night. I stood up, patted the owner's shoulder in farewell, and threw an arm around Ho Young's shoulders as we walked outside. "Ah Young, take a piece of advice. Don't exceed 5 rounds a night. Your body can't take it." Ho Young blinked, utterly bewildered, though he was smart enough not to ask. Outside the Grand Emperor restaurant in Wan Chai, Ho Young hopped out first to open my door. I slipped a $1,000 bill into his breast pocket. "Come visit Sha Tin sometime. I'll have someone spar with you." Ho Young's eyes lit up. He'd heard about the terrifying martial prowess of my inner circle. Because of the detour, I arrived at the private room to find both Woxing Sing and Dongxing delegations seated. I cupped my fists. Apologies for keeping everyone waiting. I'm not familiar with the island, so I had to borrow a driver. Camel beamed with pride. He stood up and walked over. "You're right on time, old Lu." Boss, I greeted him with a formal salute. The Dongxing uncles looked at me with genuine warmth, while the Woxingxing elders shed about 2% of their hostility. Walking into a hostile summit alone while showing respect to Camel earned their quiet admiration. Only 4 people sat at the head table: Tengbo, Chui Chai, Camel, and myself. Tengbo poured 4 cups and slid them forward. Tea. I picked up a cup, took a small sip, and surveyed the room. Finding no representatives from other syndicates, I knew this was a closed-door summit between our 3 factions. Tengbo broke the silence. Run, old Lu, you both know why our families are at war. Just tell me what you want. Su and Wan. Camel and I spoke in unison. Impossible. Big Boss slammed his fist on the table and rose. Sit down. Do you even have speaking rights here? Tengbo snapped, glaring at Big Boss before turning back to me. He inwardly sighed. Why couldn't Woxingxing ever recruit someone of my caliber? Dengbo, Camel said smoothly, you're a senior in the underworld. I respect you, but when it comes to growth, I can't hold back. Kowloon is off limits, so we have to carve out space in the new territories. Sun Wan sits right between A Lang and me, making things difficult. We have no choice but to take it together. Dengbo tapped his fingers against the table. Run, old Lu, you want Sun Wan? Impossible. Even if Woxingxing takes a massive hit, I won't budge. Without Sun Wan, our future in the new territories is dead. If you don't back down, Woxingxing will fight you to the bitter end. I let out a cold laugh. Dengbo, save the threats. Blind Ghost Grey dared to move against me, so I crushed him. Red Pole selling drugs marched into my turf, so I exterminated him. Woxingxing might be powerful, but I'm a guy with nothing to lose. If a few stern words could scare me, I never would have stepped into the underworld. Big Boss slammed his hands on the table and pointed at me. Feng Mohu, other people might be terrified of your crazy streak, but I don't give a damn. If you want a war, I'll play. I casually took a sip of tea and smiled. Big Boss, I'm the guardian of the New East. What authority do you think you have to sit across from me? Big Boss trembled with rage. While he could only squeeze in at a side table, I was sitting at the main summit. Camel turned his cold stare toward Dengbo. Is this how Woxingxing teaches its people manners? You want to wipe us out? Go ahead. If you touch old Lu, I will declare all-out war. In the new territories, you guys are nothing. Dengbo shot a sharp look at Big Boss, who shrank back. Looking back at us, Dengbo conceded. Sun Wan is non-negotiable, but everything else is up for negotiation. Camel said slowly. Hand over the northern district plus half of Taipo's territory, and we call it square. Dengbo frowned. Old Lu's appetite is a bit too big. I smiled brightly. Give my regards to Big Black and have him hand over 5 million cash, and we'll call it completely settled. Anyone who tries to raid Sha Tin needs to learn I don't like losing. Realizing the New East wasn't backing down, Dengbo rubbed his temples. All right, you've made your point, old Lu. Woxingxing takes this loss. Let's drink to that. I drained my cup. If you ever want your territory back, you know where to find us. The heavy oak door swung open. What a lovely gathering. Dongxing's dragonhead Camel, Woxingxing's elder Dengbo, and the New East's Red Pole Six brother. Evening, gentlemen. Chan Kwok senior inspector from Organized Crime and Triad Bureau, flashed a badge. Why don't all of you accompany me down to headquarters for a nice cup of tea? I smirked as I walked past him. Over the past year, I had built a network with district commanders and inspectors like Chan Kwok through mutual cooperation. Inside the OCTB interrogation room, Chan Kwok sat across from us. Well, gentlemen, are we going to wrap this up anytime soon? Dengbo, Camel, and I sat in silence. Chan Kwok sighed. The police aren't trying to squeeze you out of existence, but stop giving us massive headaches. Fair? Dengbo replied expressionlessly. Dragging us down here for tea without respecting the rules. Chan Kwok snorted. You guys played too big this time. Step over the line again, and I'll crush you until you bleed out. Camel chuckled. Fair enough, Chan sir. Chan Kwok turned to me with a grin. And you, sixth brother? Nothing to say? With a senior inspector, a legendary underworld elder, and my sworn big brother all in the room, where's a small-time player like me supposed to get a word in? Smart, Chan Kwok chuckled. You're staying in the detention cells for 24 hours. Standard procedure, I replied smoothly. Before leaving, Camel asked, need anything, old Lu? Tell Crow to collect that tea money from Woxingxing. Once the others cleared out, Chan Kwok led me to the rooftop and dropped the facade. I've got a personal favor to ask. There's a high-profile robbery case in Mongkok, $15 million in diamonds stolen. They belong to Sha Den Tung, who has connections to my old mentor. He's hosting a jewelry exhibition in May, and if those diamonds aren't recovered, heads will roll. What's in it for me? Chan Kwok stared. You're bargaining with me. Don't try to get free labor. Give me a real incentive. He grinned. If you recover the diamonds, Sha Dan Tung will reward you with a 30% finder's fee. Fair enough. I nodded. You owe me one. Deal. Chan Kwok said. Stay out of the drug trade, and I'll clear any other path you want. By the way, how does it feel being an undercover cop running a Triad syndicate? I didn't blink. Chan sir, even jokes have boundaries. Chan Kwok laughed softly. Don't play dumb. You're sharper than any standard officer. If I were your handler, I never would have left you floating out in the cold like Luk Kai Cheong did. Since you're already running a syndicate, why not maximize that identity? You help me clean up my messes, and I'll clear your obstacles. You want me to be your personal hitman in the dark? I sneered. Call it an alliance, he smiled. You're too deep in the underworld to ever return to the Force. Tonight, let me show you something that will give you absolute peace of mind. At 8 p.m., we drove out to an unmarked mountain in the southern district. Chan Kwok popped the trunk, pulled out a heavy burlap sack, and dragged it up the rocky slope. When we reached a secluded clearing, he unzipped the sack, revealing a terrified Westerner gagged inside. Recognize him? Chan Kwok asked. This is the primary suspect in the high-profile child assault case. The courts let him walk due to a technicality, but justice couldn't. When the law fails, I am the blade. I reached behind my back, pulled out a suppressed pistol, and tossed it to him. The prisoner thrashed wildly. Chan Kwok Nai raised the pistol and fired twice, once to the head, once to the chest. I stepped forward, raised my weapon, and double-tapped the exact same coordinates. We locked eyes and burst out laughing. That was the moment our bond was truly forged. I tucked the pistol back into my waistband. Leave the cleanup to me. I'll be working late at the station tonight. Plenty of colleagues to verify my alibi, Chan Kwok Nai replied with a grin. By morning, Hong Kong was rocked by a massive scandal. The acquitted suspect in the child assault case was found executed and hanging from a tree outside the courthouse. A black calling card was pinned to his chest, bearing a single character, Judge. It was a blatant slap in the face to the colonial government and police force. Inside police headquarters, the commissioner slammed his fists onto the conference table, roaring at his assembled officers. Find the bastard within a week, or hand in your resignations. Senior Superintendent Wang Bingyu stepped forward. Sir, I'd like to request the transfer of Senior Inspector Chan Kwok Nai from OCTB to lead this investigation. The commissioner nodded. Very well, Superintendent Wang. You have 1 week. In Wang Bingyu's office, the rotund superintendent chuckled as Chan Kwok Nai walked in. Guy, want a promotion? Chan Kwok Nai narrowed his eyes. Are you trying to trap me again? If you crack this case, I'll officially pull you into the senior command track. Are you in? Yes, sir, Chan Kwok Nai saluted. As he stepped out, a slow smirk spread across his face. Time to investigate myself. The morning streets buzzed with chatter. A crowd gathered to discuss the judge case. That bastard finally got what was coming to him, an old woman announced loudly. An old man leaned in. That was an emissary sent by King Yama himself. You're making things up, the woman scoffed. That black calling card is a Yama note. It means if King Yama wants you dead, nobody's keeping you alive. It's an ancient secret society from the Warring States period dedicated to purging evil. The Underworld experienced its own earthquake. Inside Yama Tei's Li Ki Tea restaurant, Shui Shui Fat and Tai Xing Hang held court. You heard the news, right? Shui Shui Fat started. Last night, Dongxing took over the New East's old turf in Kowloon City, Kuntong, and Wang Tai Sin, while the New East absorbed Dongxing's territory up in the northern district. Looks like Sixth Brother decided to transition into early retirement. Tai Xing Hang nodded. With Sixth Brother's lazy genius personality, he's never going to waste energy fighting other syndicates. Besides, he's sitting comfortably in Sha Tin and the northern district. What kind of garbage are you barking, you punk? A Wo Xing Sing grunt stood up, pointing aggressively. Tai Xing Hang blinked. How did he even hear me? Shui Shui Fat rolled his eyes. With your lung capacity, you have zero self-awareness about how loud your voice carries. The Wo Xing Sing grunt lunged. Tables flipped, chairs shattered, and Li Ki Tea restaurant devolved into absolute chaos as a full-scale brawl erupted. The tea house owner watched with exhausted resignation, pulling out a notebook to tabulate property damage. Meanwhile, inside the Sha Tin Black Tiger Martial Arts Association, the atmosphere was solemn. The heavy iron doors bore a clean closed for remodeling sign. Inside, square tables were stacked into an ancestral altar. Every name was meticulously painted in crimson ink. An incense tower sat at the center, flanked by a broadsword and a wooden staff. Opening the mountain gates in secret was the pragmatic choice. Marching down to the Three Saints Temple for a public ceremony was out of the question. A double seven member stepped forward holding a live rooster, slitting its throat to drain blood into a bowl of wine. Crow, Dadong, and Chen Guya stepped up to take a deep draft. When the ritual cups were emptied, Red Pole Chen Fei stepped forward to chant the ancient initiation verse. He looked at the three initiates. Do you pledge your loyalty to gold and silver, or to your brothers and sisters? Brothers and sisters. Crow, Dadong, and Chen Guya roared back. Chen Fei turned to me, bowing low. Please, Dragonhead, present the three pole positions. The double seven handed me a ceremonial tray loaded with weapons. I picked up the red lacquered wooden staff and handed it to Crow. Chen Tiangsheng, I officially confer upon you the rank of Dong Fu. He 426 red pole, lead with fierce valor. Thanks, boss, Crow grinned, weighing the staff. This piece of garbage is made of redwood, but it's way too short. I shot him a withering glare before turning to the white paper fan and handing it to Dadong. Liang Dongsheng, I confer upon you the rank of Dong Fu He. 415 white paper fan. Use your wisdom to guide the syndicate. Dadong took the fan, shot a mocking glance at Crow and muttered, at least my fan can keep me cool. Your stick looks like firewood. Finally, I picked up the straw sandals and handed them to Chen Guya. Chen Guya, I confer the rank of Dong Fu He 432 straw sandals. Connect our network far and wide. Chen Guya stared at the sandals with obvious disappointment. From this moment onward, Crow, Dadong, and Chen Guya were officially recognized pillars of Dong Fu He, each possessing the authority to open gates and recruit soldiers. The traditional hierarchy ranged from the dragon head at the apex down to transient blue lanterns. Once rituals concluded, Double Seven led the grunts in clearing the altars. I led the core leadership to the second floor meeting room. I took the head seat. Uncle Jing took the seat of honor on my left, and Double Seven nudged Crow into the seat on my right. I tapped the table. Since I've taken over Dong Fu He, I'll make sure everyone eats well. But anyone who tries to play both sides behind my back will lose everything. As for the elders looking to retire, I fully support your decision, and the syndicate will continue paying your pensions. I propose we put Crow in charge of the Sha Tin branch. What do you think? Uncle Jing nodded immediately. Only right and proper. Agreed, the other veteran elders chimed in unison. I nodded, pointing to Chen Fei. Northern District goes to you. Pick your own 3 red poles, submit the roster later, and take command. Any objections? Chen Fei sat in stunned silence, won over by the young dragon head's magnanimity. I turned to Daedong. Daedong, from now on, you're the financial secretary. Oversee monthly ledgers and dues, and get the medical compensation and family payouts distributed immediately. Any wounded grunts who can't handle heavy labor will be transferred to our property management company. Daedong stood up, cupping his fists. Understood, boss. I looked toward Uncle Jing. Uncle Jing, I'd be honored if you'd act as our ceremonial master. Uncle Jing bowed deeply. I will uphold the rules, Dragonhead. Finally, I looked at Chen Guya. Guya, you know everyone. Being my personal shadow, do you mind? Chen Guya stood up so fast his chair screeched, bowing frantically. Thank you, boss. I'll walk through fire for you. After finalizing appointments, I addressed the retiring elders. For those retiring, I'll host a proper golden basin washing ceremony. As long as Dongfu He stands, nobody will touch you. The elders stood up together, bowing in profound gratitude. Uncle Jing beamed like a proud grandfather. All right, that's it. Go handle your duties, I said, turning to Crow. Take Chen Fei over to the Northern District and get the handover done today. Have Ah Wu return to his normal operations. Got it, boss. Crow nodded. I slapped my forehead. Crow, did you find that electronics engineer I asked for? Crow winced. Boss. Things have been a bit hectic. Haven't had time yet. Forget it, I'll handle it, I sighed, turning to Chen Guya. Your first official task, find me the sharpest electronics engineer in Mong Kok by the end of the day. Consider it done, boss. Chen Guya thumped his chest. Once adjourned, Uncle Jing followed me to the third-floor tea room with 7. I settled into my chair. Are you still planning to leave? Uncle Jing nodded slowly. Sent my family to Vancouver a few years back. Ah Dong's family is already over there too. Leaving Dong Fu He in your hands gives me total peace of mind. I smiled faintly. Generosity buys loyalty, and loyalty prevents betrayal. Precisely, Uncle Jing agreed. 7 set a teacup down. Dragonhead, please enjoy your tea. I took a sip. Ah Dong, whenever you want to visit Hong Kong, Dong Fu, he will always have a seat for you. 7 smiled warmly. Uncle Jing pulled out 2 thick ledgers, sliding them across the table. Old Lu, here are the secret rosters and financial accounts. Camel had your Dongxing pledge certificates delivered. There's about 10 million left in overseas accounts, along with gray market networks. I flipped open the ledger, pulled out the slip containing Swiss account numbers, and pushed it back. Keep this as my gift to fund your retirement. Uncle Jing pushed it back. This is Dong Fu, his survival fund. Use it. He pulled out a thick envelope containing property deeds and land titles. I kept my promise. Now it's your turn. I accepted the property file, but firmly slid the bank transfer slip back. I'll take the deeds, Uncle Jing, but you're keeping the cash. That evening, around 8 p.m., Dedong knocked. Boss, someone's on the line for you downstairs. I picked up the rotary phone. Speaking. Understood. See you tonight. I turned to Daedong. Take a few men to Yao Mate and bring back the underground broker named Li Yunfei. Daedong nodded without asking questions. Uncle Jing and 7 walked down the stairs, bags packed. We're heading out. After the senior retirement ceremony next week, I'm flying straight to Vancouver. I walked them to the door. Safe travels, Uncle Jing. My door is always open. Uncle Jing waved with a faint smile, sliding into a waiting sedan. By 8 p.m., Daedong hadn't returned, so I grabbed my car keys and drove towards Simshatsui, keeping my eyes on the bustling streets. Many people romanticized 1980s Hong Kong as a paradise of golden opportunities. The reality was a brutal, cutthroat survival game for the working class. Nightclubs flashed for the elite while low-level thugs loitered outside bars. Without backing or ruthless ambition, building anything from scratch was practically impossible. Navigating past Yao Mate, I parked my car beneath a commercial high-rise in Simshatsui and took the stairwell up to the roof. Chan Kwok Nai was smoking as the high-altitude wind whipped his trench coat. I walked over and pulled out a cigarette. Is there some law stating cops have to drink wind on rooftops, or do you just enjoy tempting gravity? Chan Kwok Nai chuckled. You don't get it, Six Brother. High altitudes clear the mind. Anyway, I've been officially reassigned to lead the judge murder investigation. I exhaled smoke. Small matter. Just wait a few days. I'll have the actual killer packaged and delivered to your desk along with the stolen diamonds. But remember, good work requires good incentives. Chan Kwok Nai laughed. How many days? 5 days max. I tossed my cigarette butt over the edge and turned toward the stairs. Wait for my call. Returning to the Sha Tin Black Tiger Martial Arts Association, I found Li Yunfei waiting nervously inside. As a veteran black market fixer, Li Yunfei knew whose turf he was on. I walked in, sat down next to Daedong, popped open a cold beer, and looked at the sweating broker. Let's skip the small talk. Where are the diamonds? Li Yunfei's face drained of color. He tried to bluff. Sixth brother, you must be joking. I'm just an intermediary. Old fox, if I pulled you here, it means my information network verified your involvement. Think very carefully. Li Yunfei swallowed hard. Realizing he had nowhere to run, he gritted his teeth. You know how this works. We live and die by our reputation. If I pull a stunt like this, who's going to trust me again? I leaned in, throwing an arm around his shoulder in a dangerously friendly grip. Relax, I'm not here to smash your rice bowl. Just hook up an out-of-town buyer with the sellers and let them run a normal transaction. Get what I'm saying? Li Yunfei's eyes widened in horror. Wait, you want me to sell out the buyers and steal the cash? If anything goes sideways, I've got your back. I'll wait for your call. Li Yunfei dragged himself out wearing the face of a man walking to his execution. Running away wasn't an option. His family and livelihood were anchored in Hong Kong. By noon on the third day, my phone rang. I picked it up and immediately dialed Wang Jiu. Ah Jiu, send Tiger and his crew over to the warehouse. We've got work to do. Got it. Wang Jiu headed straight for the warehouse, where Tiger was overseeing the unloading of several bulky packages. What's all this, Tiger? Wang Jiu asked. Work uniforms. Tiger wiped his sweat. I hit up a textile factory and ordered black suits and field clothes. Wang Jiu nodded. Keep an eye on things here. Take your primary squad over to the Martial Arts Association. The boss needs you. Tiger dropped his gloves. Logistics support squad, listen up, move out. That evening at 6 p.m., down in the reinforced basement, Tiger and 7 of his men outfitted themselves. Tiger picked up an AK, racked the bolt, and nodded with satisfaction. Dropping it, he scooped up a Type 5.4 pistol and clipped fragmentation grenades to his tactical belt. A younger squad member grinned. Tiger, once this job's wrapped up, I'm heading back across the border to bring my folks over. Tiger clapped him on the shoulder. Do it, bring everyone. At 10 p.m., the isolated coastline of Sai Kung Pier was dead quiet. A flat stretch of tarmac served as an improvised meeting ground illuminated by high-beam headlights. Li Yunfei stepped forward, flanked by a swarthy foreigner. They approached Dadong. Big brother Dadong, both sides are here. Time to inspect the goods. Dadong flashed a wide grin. No problem. I'll have the courier drop your commission off tomorrow. Li Yunfei nodded curtly and disappeared into the shadows. The foreigner's man stepped forward holding a heavy leather briefcase. Where's the merchandise? Dadong pulled out a heavy black cloth sack and tossed it across a car hood. The foreigner's man inspected the contents with a magnifying glass before giving a sharp nod. The foreigner turned to Dadong. Goods verified. Clean transaction. Dadong glanced at his own man, counting cash, received a subtle thumbs up, and laughed. Pleasure doing business. A wall of lead tore through the night air. Half the men on both sides dropped instantly. The foreign boss grabbed his lead inspector as a human shield, snatched the black sack of diamonds, scrambled behind a sedan, and roared. You double-crossing bastards. This is a setup. Dadong whipped out his big black star, blindly returning fire. What kind of backwards clown logic are you shouting? You're the ones shooting first. He roared into his comms. Light him up. The crossfire turned into a slaughterhouse. Sheet metal offered zero protection against Tiger's AKs. Within 10 minutes, the coastline fell silent, littered with smoking brass and broken bodies. Tiger walked the battlefield, checking pulses before letting out a sharp whistle. I stepped out of the shadows carrying a fresh briefcase alongside a trembling Li Yunfei. Noticing the foreign boss was still wheezing, I pulled out a pistol and pressed it into Li Yunfei's hand. Take the shot, or take his place. Li Yunfei squeezed his eyes shut, pulled the trigger 3 times, and emptied his lungs. I slipped on leather gloves, took the weapon back, and patted his shoulder. Welcome to the family, I've got your back. Thanks, Six Brother. Tiger and his boys placed the weapons used directly into the hands of dead mercenaries to frame the scene. I pulled 2 spent handguns from my waistband, emptied their clips near Dadong's position, and swapped our briefcases of cash before leading my men away. Driving back to Sai Kung Main Street, I dropped a coin into a phone booth. Sai Kung Pier, job's done. When Chan Kuoking I arrived and surveyed the miniature war zone, a single thought echoed in his head. Is it too late to terminate my partnership with Old Liu? The following afternoon, TVB broadcasted an emergency police press conference. Inspector Chan Kuoking I stood behind the podium in his senior superintendent's uniform, as I sat in the 4th floor tea room, kicking back with a cold beer and watching him spin a fairy tale on television. The successful resolution of the serial corpse case and the high-profile diamond heist is entirely thanks to the brilliant strategic deployment of the commissioner and the tireless leadership of Chief Superintendent Wang, Chan declared with a straight face. Ballistics testing confirms the recovery of the exact murder weapon, and we have successfully neutralized the primary mastermind behind the Diamond Syndicate. All stolen gems have been fully recovered. A journalist raised her hand. Chief Inspector Chan, were there any casualties among the police force during this high-risk operation? 0 casualties. Our brave officers executed this flawless sweep under Superintendent Wang's direct field command. I choked on my beer, immediately reaching over to switch off the TV. That bastard is even more shameless than I am. Up at police headquarters, the commissioner watched the broadcast and nodded. This Chan fellow has a bright future. Turning to Wang Bingyu, he smiled. Wang, you've outdone yourself. I'm promoting you to Deputy Commander of Operations. Your paperwork is already signed, go handle the handover. Wang Bingyu beamed, hiding his grin. It's all thanks to the commissioner's visionary leadership. I merely serve as a humble instrument. And since you're moving up, your old post as head of the regional crime unit opens up. Inspector Chan takes your old chair. Wang Bingyu snapped to a sharp salute. Thank you, sir. Waddling back to his office, Wang found Chan waiting inside. Guy, after some heavy lobbying with the big boss upstairs, I managed to secure you a full superintendent rank along with my old chair. Chan blinked in disbelief, snapping off a crisp salute. Thank you for the guidance, sir. Wang waved a chubby hand. We're family now. Now get out of here. I've got a new office to pack for. Outside headquarters, Chan ducked into a phone booth and dialed my number. Old Liu, I just got promoted to superintendent of the regional crime unit. Congratulations, partner. How do you want your cut of the reward money? Have Dadong funnel it into the Kowloon City real estate acquisitions. Done, I replied. And hey, partner, try to keep things a bit quieter next time. Between automatic rifles and grenades, you're giving me an ulcer. Look who's talking. Chan snapped back before hanging up. I shook my head and headed out with Dadong toward Sim Shatsui's Metropolis nightclub, where the notorious syndicate heavyweight, Keipo, was celebrating his grand opening. Outside the entrance, Keipo greeted VIPs. Spotting my car, his face broke into a wide grin. Old Liu, greatly appreciate you coming to grace us with your presence. I shook his hand, gesturing to Dadong. Just brought my boys out to learn a thing or two from a master. Keipo linked his arm through mine. Small matter. You showing up is already giving me more face than I deserve. Walking inside, I took in the gold-plated interior. Damn, Poji, must have cost a fortune. Capo held up 2 fingers, a slight twitch in his eye. Me and my partners dumped a small mountain of cash into this place. If it doesn't turn a profit soon, I'll be eating dirt. I plucked a glass of whiskey and wandered the hall with Daedong. The crowd was packed with heavy hitters from the underworld and business sectors. Old Lu. I turned to see Bookji walking over, flanked by a stunning woman in an evening gown. Bookji, it's been a minute. How's the health? Bookji chuckled, giving my arm a light slap. Look at you, stepping out into the light for once. Just handling some loose ends. My new district factories will be operational in 2 months. Thought I'd bring Daedong out to network. Bookji acknowledged Daedong before gesturing to a young man nearby. This is Coke Boy. Just took over operations in Kwantong. Coke Boy cupped his fists. Six brother, hope to rely on your guidance in the future. Small matter, I replied. Just coordinate with Ah Wu. We're all family here. Before we could continue, Sui Man, a 14K red pole, walked over with his pregnant wife. After exchanging pleasantries with Bukka, Sui Man extended a hand. Old Lu, missed your Grand Mountain opening ceremony a few days back. We'll have to share a few drinks tonight. No problem, I smiled, shaking his hand before glancing down at the baby bump. And this must be your lovely wife. Guilty as charged, Sui Man chuckled. Honey, this is the new dragon head of New East, Qin Lang. Mrs. Sui offered a warm smile. Nice to meet you, Mr. Qin. Please, just call me Old Lu. We found a quiet corner booth as the music pulsed. After a round of drinks, Sui Man stood up. Excuse me, gotta hit the washroom. Sui Man ambled down the corridor toward the men's room, humming. Pushing the door open, he stepped inside just as a booming voice echoed from a stall. Are you out of your damn mind trying to challenge Su Long for the title of Grandmaster Kickboxer? The roar startled Sui Man mid-flow. Irritated by the disruption, he finished up, washed his hands, and glared at the culprit as he stepped out of the stall. Muttering under his breath, Sui Man thought, I'm a senior syndicate boss, and some loudmouth punk thinks he can disrupt my peace. As Su Long stumbled out of the stall looking for a fight, Sui Man didn't hesitate. With a sharp sweep of his leg, he caught the intoxicated martial arts instructor square in the chest, sending him crashing backward into the wall, before casually walking out. Sui Man returned to our booth to resume drinking. Meanwhile, Su Long picked himself up, rage clouding his vision, and bolted out of the restroom to hunt down the man who had humiliated him. Honey, watch out, Mrs. Tsui shrieked, spotting Su Long charging toward them with a shattered glass bottle. Showing incredible courage, the pregnant woman threw herself in front of her husband. Su Long raised his foot and kicked viciously toward her midsection. In a fraction of a second, I vaulted off the back of our booth, soaring through the air with a devastating flying side kick straight into Su Long's chest. Su Long flew backward, skidding across the floor before slamming into a pillar. I landed beside Mrs. Tsui, steadying her as she doubled over in shock and pain. Sui Man snapped out of his haze, his eyes turning bloodshot. Grabbing a heavy bottle from a nearby table, he started to charge after Su Long, but I grabbed him by the collar. Are you insane? I yelled over the music. Get your wife to the hospital right now. You can settle scores with that trash whenever you want. Sui Man stopped, realization crashing over him. He slammed a hand against his forehead, scooped his wife into his arms, and sprinted toward the exit. Old Lu, I owe you my life. We'll settle this later. Go. Stop wasting time. Just as Sui Man bolted, Su Long's chief disciple, Sai Wang Ming, rushed over to help his master. Su Long limped forward, pointing a shaking finger straight at me. Motherfucker, you dare hit me. My patience finally snapped. I literally just saved your intended victim from getting her skull caved in, and you're barking at me? I stepped forward and threw a brutal right hook that caught Su Long squarely on the jaw, instantly dropping him back to the floor. Sai Wang Ming saw his master go down and lunged forward, dropping low to drive a vicious knee straight toward my groin. I countered instantly, snapping my foot out to boot him square in the stomach. As he doubled over, I grabbed a handful of his hair and violently drove his face downward into the marble floor. Blood sprayed across the pristine tiles as Sai Wang Ming let out a muffled shriek. Before he could collapse, another disciple, Kuai Tin, charged in. I spun around, caught him mid-charge in a crushing body slam, and took him down with a textbook suplex. Straddling his chest, I rained a series of lightning-fast punches into his face. Blood splattered across my cheeks. With Kuai Tin unconscious, I pivoted back to Su Long, unleashing a flurry of unrefined, street brawler punches. All of this carnage happened in less than 2 minutes. The entire lounge was stunned into dead silence. Capo pushed his way through the stunned crowd, his face pale as he grabbed my arm. Old Lu, what in the world? I stood up, pulled a decorative silk handkerchief from my breast pocket, and wiped the blood splatter from my face. Go ask them what happened. Your precious Metropolis martial arts instructors make a habit of picking fights with pregnant women. Daedong stepped through the crowd, smashed a whiskey bottle against a table, and pointed the jagged neck directly at Capo's guards. Step closer and see what happens. Coke Boy stepped up beside Daedong, cracking his neck. Capo's stomach flipped. Looking down at the battered heap of Su Long and his disciples, he realized his grand opening had turned into a public execution zone. He waved frantically at his bouncers. Get these 3 idiots out of my sight and straight to the hospital, now. Turning back to me, Capo forced an awkward smile. Old Lu, I'm so sorry about this. Thank you for handling the trash, but damn, on my opening night? I tossed the bloody handkerchief aside and patted his shoulder. Don't sweat it, Poga. Just teach your house guests some manners next time. Bookjo walked over, shaking his head. Well, that's one way to liven up a party. Let's clear out before the cops show up. Agreed, I said, turning to Daedong and Coke Boy. Let's head back. I sat anxiously outside the emergency room at the Tsimshat Sui Medical Center, my regret tasting like ash. Why on earth did I have to act so dramatic and kick Su Long back there? And why did I bring my wife out today? The doctor stepped out through the swinging doors. I leaped forward instantly. Doc, how is my wife? Nothing too serious, he assured me. She's just experienced some prenatal agitation. Just need to keep things calm moving forward. But let me be clear, there cannot be a next time. A repeat of today could easily result in a miscarriage. Thank you. Thank you so much. I grabbed his hand and pumped it fervently, slipping a thick roll of cash into his pocket. Please, don't refuse this. Just a small token. Take the team out for a meal. The doctor gave me a deadpan look. $5,000? You've got nerve calling that a big gesture, cheapskate. It was nearly 3 months of wages, but to a doctor in this district, it barely registered. Unaware of the silent critique, I sat beside my wife's hospital bed, gently taking her hand. I'm so sorry. If I hadn't dragged you to that nightclub, none of this would have happened. Ming gave my hand a reassuring squeeze, smiling softly. It's fine, we're both okay. But we owe Mr. Chin a massive favor. If he hadn't intercepted Su Long's kick right then, the outcome could have been devastating. I nodded. I know. I've carved Lao Lu's favor deep into my memory. When the time comes, I'll pay it back tenfold. But that bastard Su Long, I'm not letting him go. She shook her head. Let it go, amen. In the underworld, harmony is everything. Don't blow this out of proportion. The Dongxing to Red Pole title sounds impressive on paper, but outside of our faction, who is actually going to bleed for you over this? The Dongxing 10 name alone is enough. I gritted out. If I swallow this, my reputation is finished. Whether it's for your honor or our future, this fight has to happen. I'm going to see Uncle Ching and tell him I'm ready to take the Twin Mun turf assignment. I'll open up new territory for number 14, but he has to back me on this. Seeing she couldn't sway me, she offered a final warning. Just watch your step. Don't let things spiral past the point of no return. I kissed her forehead and stepped out of the room. In this life, you're constantly bound by invisible chains, fighting for face on the surface, but bleeding entirely for profit. Lose your face, and your rice bowl shatters right along with it. Number 14's second road marshal, Uncle Ching, lived in the upscale residential sprawl of Kowloon Tong. I walked up to the heavy iron gates of Villa 12 and pressed the buzzer. Uncle Ching's personal bodyguard swung the door open. Amen. What brings you out here at this hour? Is the big boss inside? Inside, chatting with Uncle Ching from Old Tongue. Come on in. I stepped into the opulent living room, where 2 older men sat sipping tea. Uncle Ching caught sight of me and gestured to a polished rosewood chair. Ah, Min's here. Pull up a seat. Uncle Jing of Old Tongue immediately stood up. Ah, Ching, I should get going. Make sure you're early for Old Tongue's washing hands ceremony in a couple of days. Uncle Ching rose to see him off. No problem at all. Count on me. As they walked toward the door, I chimed in, Uncle Jing. Speaking of which, today's disaster nearly cost me everything if it weren't for Lao Lu stepping in. When is that washing hands ceremony again? I'll bring the boys through. Uncle Jing paused, curiosity piqued. Oh, tell me everything. I recounted the entire chaotic episode at the nightclub. Truly, the waves behind push the waves ahead. Lao Lu's physical prowess isn't just talk. He cleared a table and flew several meters, with a single-handed push. The sheer explosive power in his arms is terrifying. Compared to him, I'm lagging leagues behind. Uncle Jing chuckled. Lao Lu is still young. He lacks your seasoned underworld experience. I forced a tight smile. Uncle Jing returned to his villa, a completely satisfied man, planning to dodge the upcoming fallout. Old school survivors like him knew the golden rule. The underworld is a viper's nest, and knowing too much will get you killed. Watching him leave, Uncle Ching let out a dry, fond scoff. Shaking his head, he ambled back to his armchair and sank into it, his gaze fixing on me with a heavy weight. Amen, Uncle Ching began, his voice low. I know you're burning to settle the score. I get it. But remember, moderation is everything. We survive on face, but you can't eat face for a lifetime. Leave yourself a way out. He sighed. When 2 major syndicates collide like this, a single misstep triggers an all-out war, and the consequences are far beyond what your little Dongxing T faction can shoulder. Tread carefully. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Once this business is settled, I'll head down to Tuan Mun and carve out a permanent foothold for number 14. Uncle Ching watched my retreating back with a quiet sigh. There were no permanent friends here, only permanent interests. Past midnight, the neon-drenched veins of Tsimsha Tsui played host to a very different kind of spectacle. I marched right into the heart of Star Interstellar's territory at the head of the Dongxing Te elite, moving with the brutal efficiency of a scythe through wheat. Su Long's low-level foot soldiers folded like paper bridges under our sudden assault. We swept through his establishments like a typhoon, leaving pulverized glass and splintered wood in our wake. Not a single meaningful counterattack materialized. Su Long's network had crumbled entirely because I had already sent his 2 strongest commanders straight to the hospital via Lao Lu's terrifying display. By the time I finished smashing Su Long's flagship bar, the local Star Interstellar Red Pole, Axe Jun, finally strolled in with a retinue, looking less than thrilled. Amen, Axe Jun said, his tone tight as he surveyed the wreckage. I get why you're pissed, and I let you vent your spleen tonight. But this is Star Interstellar territory. I can't just watch. Number 14, walk away with my turf. How do I look to the Brotherhood if I let that slide? The adrenaline rush was wearing off, leaving a cold logic in its wake. I met his gaze. Hey Jun, we stop here tonight. But you tell Su Long this. We are far from finished. He broke the unwritten rules by laying hands on my wife. No matter where we take this, I have the moral high ground. The only reason people like us negotiate comes down to equality of force. If I were leading a third-rate gang, Axe Jun wouldn't waste breath on logic, he'd just wipe us out. Might makes right. Words only matter when both sides carry enough iron to make each other bleed equally. Chapter 55. The Underworld is a circle. By morning, yesterday's riot had rippled across Hong Kong like a seismic wave. Over at a Yao Ma Te Cha Chan Teng, Waterfat sat with gauze wrapped around his head, spitting bits of toast as he held court. Waterfat had tried pulling a dining and dashing stunt a few days back, resulting in a full-blown brawl with Big Voice Heng and Wo Xing Wo's boys. Big voice, Hang walked away clean, but Fat had taken a whiskey bottle directly to the skull. You guys want to know why number 14's Minji went to war with Star Interstellar's Su Long yesterday? Fat tapped his spoon against his bowl. Big voice, Hang stepped up. Why is that, Fat? Yesterday afternoon at the Phoenix nightclub grand opening, Su Long had one too many, decided to swing a bottle at Ming Gay, and Ming intercepted it. Then Su Long threw a flying kick straight at her stomach. The cafe patrons groaned. Don't leave us hanging. Finish the story. Relax, I'm getting there. Fat smirked. That's when Lao Lu stepped in and caught Su Long's foot. But Ming Sa still suffered prenatal shock, so Ming Jie carried her to the hospital. And then, someone yelled. Su Long was still foaming at the mouth, screaming insults at Lao Lu. And you know how Lao Lu is. He didn't just beat Su Long, he single-handedly sent Sai Wang Ming and Kuai Tin to the hospital too. All three hospitalized by one man. The guy is a monster. While the streets chewed on the juicy details, the higher-ups were already locked in damage control. Chang Po, Star Interstellar's second road marshal, was on the secure line with number 14's Uncle Ching. Ordinarily, Star Interstellar would never bow first, but right now, they were locked in a brutal turf war with Woxing Wo. Opening a second front against number 14 was suicide. After a sleepless night, Chang Po swallowed his pride. Uncle Ching, Chang Po began. Our two sides can work things out. But Phoenix Demon Lu was right in the middle of it. What's your read on him? Uncle Ching had zero interest in expanding the war over a petty bar fight. Here's what we do. I'll have a word with Uncle Jing, and he can ask Lao Lu to sit down with us. Lao Lu stepped in out of good intentions, and Su Long acted like a rabid dog. If we can settle this peacefully, we do it. Chang Po exhaled smoke. Fine. Give him whatever face he needs. I'll leave the mediation to you. Uncle Ching clicked the phone down and turned to me. There you have it, I'm in. Take your pound of flesh from Star Interstellar, but don't overreach. Got it, Uncle, I replied, adjusting my collar. The message has been sent. The rest is up to you. Up in the penthouse of the Sky Garden at Simshatsui, I was huddled over blueprints with Octopus, planning our move into the Kowloon Tong Villa district. Uncle Ching had gifted me a sprawling estate there. Octopus shook his head furiously, shutting down the idea. Hard pass, we've got plenty of space right here. What's so great about a massive villa? You have to hire an entire cleaning crew, and suddenly strangers are roaming the halls. I kicked my feet up on the sofa and shrugged. Alright, suit yourself. Half the city would kill to own a villa, and you're treating it like a chore. Octopus glanced at the wall clock, walked over, and tapped my forehead with a kiss. A mansion's just empty space. Time's up, I've got to head to work. Hold down the fort. The phone rang. It was Crow. Boss, Uncle Ching's looking for you. Said to call him back ASAP. Got it, I replied, adding, anything else? Yeah. Early this morning, Lu Xingyip and Lu Xuan both showed up downstairs with urgent business. Tell them to wait. I'll head back to Shatin once I wrap up my business here. After returning Uncle Ching's call, I grabbed my jacket and hailed a cab straight to the Tsimshatsui tea house. Uncle Ching was waiting by the entrance, waving me over. Lao, number 14's second road marshal, Uncle Ching, happens to be an old acquaintance of mine, so I'm playing middleman today. I slung an arm around the old man's shoulders. Small matter, Uncle. You're a former dragon head of Old Tongue. We're all family here. Chapter 56. Two timing monkeys in mockery. The tea house interior radiated a heavy, antique charm. At the bottom of the stairs, Chang Po stood waiting. He offered a welcoming smile and extended a hand. Uncle Ching, Mr. Chin, right this way. We ascended to the second floor, where Uncle Ching and Watermin sat chatting over hot tea with a robust, red-faced elder. The three elders stood up to greet us. After a round of handshakes, we all took our seats. Uncle Ching gestured to the burly elder. Lao, let me introduce you. This is Star Interstellar's senior patriarch, Lam King. I stood up, cupping my fists. Elder Lam, it's an honor. Lam King boomed with laughter. Sit, what honor. An old man like me is practically retired anyway. Lam King looked between Uncle Ching and Uncle Ching before clearing his throat. A minor misunderstanding happened between our three factions. Ah Lung couldn't make it today, so an old fossil like me had to come drink tea in his place. Uncle Ching chimed in smoothly. We're all river people here. Let's just lay it all on the table and clear the air. My brain blue-screened. These two old bastards were sweeping yesterday's absolute bloodbath under the rug with a few casual sentences, repackaging the whole disaster as if it were my fault. I leaned back, keeping my voice level. You're both respected seniors. Normally, I wouldn't even have a seat at this table, but since you dragged me here, let's hear it. Lam King nodded. I'll pull rank as an elder and call you Lao Lu. Apo filled me on yesterday's mess. Ah Lung crossed a line, and you stepping in was justified. Let's get everything out on the table. Extra trouble is just dead weight, right? These two geezers were running a masterclass in good cop, bad cop routines. They had already cut a backroom deal behind my back and dragged me here to serve as a prop for their scripted peace treaty. I offered a self-deprecating chuckle. No problem at all. My face isn't worth much anyway. As long as Star Interstellar stops targeting me, I should be lighting incense to thank the gods. Old Tongue's little shoulders can't handle a full-scale war with Star Interstellar. Both elders caught the sharp edge in my tone. As yesterday's primary victim, Watermin sat silently in the corner, offering an apologetic glance. If Star Interstellar wanted to stretch their supply lines and start a turf war, I'd gladly join hands with Woxing Wo and march into Tsimshatsui. Dispatching Crow, Wang Jiu, or Ah Wu would give Star Interstellar a migraine. Chang Po narrowed his eyes. Mr. Chin, does that mean you're rejecting Star Interstellar's friendship? Uncle Ching kicked my shin sharply under the table, signaling me to dial it back. I gave Uncle Ching a reassuring look, then turned my gaze back to Chang Po with a cold, mocking smile. What's this? Is Mr. Chang trying to use Star Interstellar's way to intimidate me? I don't go looking for trouble, but I sure as hell don't run from it. Did you bring me here just to put on a masterclass in bullying? Uncle Qing was sweating through his collar, silently cursing himself for dragging me into this. Old tongue can't absorb a war like this. Chang Po tapped a finger rhythmically against the tabletop. The underworld runs on pure strength, Mr. Qin. Bringing you here today is us showing respect to Phoenix Demon Lu, not Old Tongue. Old Tongue doesn't have leverage against Star Interstellar. Yesterday, you hospitalized 3 of our top executives, yet we still invited you out for tea. Isn't that enough sincerity? See, that's what happens when power isn't balanced. They had zero intention of reasoning with me. They just wanted to use brute intimidation to force my compliance. I picked up my teacup, raised it in a mock toast to Lam King and Uncle Qing, and downed the contents in one gulp. I slammed the ceramic cup down so hard it shattered completely, embedding the base deep into the solid wood table. Since that's how it is, let me make myself crystal clear. It's not enough. I locked eyes with Chang Po. I came today out of respect for Uncle Qing, but you two sat there tag-teaming me like I'm some holiday clown. Is this your idea of sincerity? Fine. I'll be waiting in Sha Tin for Star Interstellar. If you don't come looking for me, I'll come looking for you. I shifted my gaze to number 14's Uncle Qing. And Uncle Qing, is this how number 14 does business? I'll let it slide today for your sake, Uncle, but don't ever try to play the senior card on me again. My face isn't made of paper mache. We're done here. See you in the streets. I stood up abruptly and turned on my heel. Several of Star Interstellar's armed thugs rushed forward, blocking the exit. I glanced back at Uncle Qing, my eyes slowly turning bloodshot. Uncle Qing, you just sit here and finish your tea. If a single hair on your head falls, I'll make every single one of them bleed for your funeral. Uncle Qing swallowed hard. Ah Lao, you're actually out of your damn mind. Chapter 57, The Shoddy Runner, Fearing the Barefoot Brawler. Before the echo of my voice even faded, I moved like lightning, closing the distance to the nearest Star Interstellar enforcers. A crushing straight punch to the nasal bone, followed by a devastating knee strike to the groin. Backed by my supreme martial talent and iron body conditioning, these street thugs were completely out of their depth. A single exchange laid out 6 of their best men. I cut a bloody path straight through the second floor down to the lobby, leaving behind groaning, broken bodies. Back in the private room, the remaining 4 men stared at the empty doorway, shivering. Is that even human? Chang Po crouched down, checking pulses before looking up at Lam King with a pale face. They're all broken. The Phoenix Demon uses heavy internal striking techniques. Lam King let out a heavy sigh. Face. Why are people so obsessed with a piece of worthless pride? Uncle Qing's expression shifted violently. He turned to Lam King. Uncle Lam, you can. Before he could finish, Uncle Qing raised a hand, cutting him off. I am not going to chase after Lao Lu to clean up your mess. If you have any bright ideas, you'd better execute them before I leave Hong Kong. Uncle Qing dropped that final sentence and walked out without looking back. Refusing to let Old Tongue die on his watch, he felt his old bones were worth breaking after all. Waterman cast one last sympathetic look at Lam King and walked out behind Uncle Qing. Left alone in the wrecked tea house, Lam King and Chang Po stared at each other in mounting dread. Unless we can wipe him out in one clean sweep, Lam King muttered grimly, his voice shaking. We're going to have a permanent monster haunting our doorstep. Uncle Qing offered a bitter smile. He won't come after me. But as for you guys, good luck. Lam King ground his teeth, walking over to the telephone. Ah Lun? It's me, Lam King of Star Interstellar. On the other end, Camel raised an eyebrow. Gold King? To what do I owe the pleasure? Lam King swallowed his pride. Ah Lun, I need a favor. I brought Phoenix Demon Lu out for tea today. Things got a bit heated, and, well, the kid flipped the table. I need you to step in as a peacemaker. Camel didn't say yes immediately. Gold King, you're a senior statesman. I need to call Lao Lu first and get his side of the story before I give you an answer. Fair enough. Let me know either way. Lam King sighed, hanging up. Chapter 58, The Lu family knows how to play. I took a taxi straight back to the Black Tiger Martial Arts Association in Sha Tin, tossing a cash note onto the dashboard. 6 brother. The disciples training in the courtyard called out. I waved them off. Keep going. Crow hurried over, pointing upstairs. The big boss is waiting. I pulled Crow aside, lowering my voice. Call Wang Jiu and Ao Wu. Tonight's target practice. Tell them to secure their sectors and prep the squad. Crow's eyes lit up. What's the play, boss? Star Interstellar tried treating me like a holiday clown, I spat. So I'm going to ruin their weekend. Crow grinned savagely. Leave it to us, big boss. Hold on. I patted his shoulder. Let me deal with the Lu family first. I walked up to the 4th floor office. Lu Xingyip and Lu Xuen stood up the second I opened the door, bowing respectfully. Mr. Qin. I waved them down, pulling up a chair. Once seated, Lu Xuen pushed a leather folder across the desk. Mr. Qin, thanks to your support, I've managed to establish myself here in Sha Tin. Please accept this as a token of my gratitude. Lu Xingyip slid his document forward. And Mr. Qin, Old Tongue recently injected 11 million into Lu's real estate in exchange for just a 1% stake. I'm here to hand over the official contracts. I opened Lu Xuen's folder first. It was a transfer deed for Lu's Food Corporation, encompassing their entire restaurant chain, with a 70% ownership stake signed over directly to my name. I flipped through the pages, raising an eyebrow. Lu boss, I didn't lift a finger here. Isn't giving me 70% a bit much? Not at all, Lu Xuen replied earnestly. Without your backing, I wouldn't have kept a single dime. Keep it as it is, I said. You run the food corporation however you see fit. If anyone gives you trouble, just mention Crow's name. Lu Xuen stood up, bowing deeply. Thank you, Mr. Qin. I turned my attention to Lu Xingyip's document. It was a duplicate share transfer for Lu's real estate, also handing over 70%. 70% for 10 million, Lu boss? You sure are generous. Lu Xingyip forced an awkward smile. Old Tongue investing in Lu's real estate adds that kind of value, Mr. Qin. I stared at him in quiet disbelief. Reaching over to the office safe, I pulled out a thick manila folder and tossed it onto the desk. Take a look at this before we talk business. Lu Xingyip unlatched the folder. The longer he stared at the papers inside, the wider his eyes grew. He looked up, his voice trembling with disbelief. Mr. Qin, are these prime land parcels in Kowloon Tong? I said smoothly, tapping the folder. Develop them right, and Lu's real estate will break past its current ceiling. Property values might fluctuate elsewhere, but Kowloon Tong housing never drops, especially with those prestigious schools nearby. Lu Xingyip's face flushed red with excitement. Mr. Qin, to be honest, handing over Lu's real estate to you was already a bargain, but with these land plots. I raised a hand, cutting him off. Please don't call me sir. I'm not used to it. Understood, Mr. Qin. Based on the current valuation of this land, I can offer you a 70% stake in Lu's real estate. I didn't quibble over the shares. I didn't know real estate, so I'd let the experts handle it. If Lu Xingyip dared to pull any fast ones, well, that would just be wonderful. I leaned back. No problem, let's do it your way. Apart from an accountant, I won't plant a single person in your company. You have complete creative freedom. If you run into any trouble in Kowloon City, just let me know. Understood, Mr. Qin. I'll take my leave now. Lu Xingyip nodded, clutching that document folder to his chest, and practically sprinted out of the tea room. I sank back into my chair. My goal was simple: cash, cash, and more cash. Money bought freedom. As long as Lu Xingyip stayed honest, I wouldn't swallow his company. Finding competent corporate slaves was harder than it looked. This was precisely why I had Chen Guoyi deliver the payout straight to Lu's real estate, signaling that I preferred legitimate business rules over strong arming. As for Lu Suan's share, she was my chosen proxy for the mainland market. If she successfully built up the food corporation, I'd back her rise to becoming a bona fide female billionaire. Fleeing to the mainland wouldn't save her if she tried to run. I'd drag her back by her ankles. Task finished. I sat back and rubbed my knuckles. If someone dared to slap my face, star interstellar or not, nobody gets away with it. It was time to give this underworld a proper wake-up call. Chapter 59, Deng Bo is a man who cares about face. Boss, Camel wants you to call him back, Crow announced, pushing open the door. I stood up, headed back to the third-floor bedroom, and dialed Camel's number. Boss, did something good happen? Camel sounded deeply amused. Lao Lu, Star Interstellar's Lamb King, came looking for me. What's your play here? I recounted the entire tea house debacle. Boss, it's not about giving you face. Those two old bastards treated me like a village idiot. I'm the dragon head of Old Tongue right now. If I swallow this humiliation, how am I supposed to walk the streets? Camel let out a disgusted scoff. Those two pompous geezers. Knowing your temper, Lao Lu, there was no way you'd take that lying down. He sighed anxiously. Beating down Star Interstellar's grunts is fine, but don't lose your head. If you actually ice Lamb King, the blowback will drown us all. Relax. My blood pressure is fine. I won't touch him just yet. But if I don't vent this steam, my skull's going to split open. If Star Interstellar won't give me face, I'll strip away theirs. Camel felt marginally better. Call me if things get too hot. Star Interstellar owns Kowloon proper, but new territories is our turf. I've got your back. I clicked the phone down. Boss Camel was genuinely solid. Stepping out of the bedroom, I grabbed Dat Tung and headed straight for Tsa Ku Ling. My visit to Wo Xingwo wasn't because I liked them. Right now, Wo Xingwo and Star Interstellar were locked in a brutal turf war over Tsimshat Sui. I was planning to pour a little gasoline on that fire. My sole objective was collecting interest on my insulted dignity. As soon as my car pulled up outside Wo Xingwo's headquarters, I ran right into Chum Leopard storming out. You punk, you've got some nerve showing your face here, Chum Leopard roared, pointing a trembling finger at my chest. I walked up and casually pushed his hand down. You're too old to be popping blood vessels over nothing. Turning to Da Tung, I offered a grin. I'm here for a business partnership. Chum Leopard's eyes bulged. We don't do business with Old Tongue. Get lost. Calm down, I said, throwing an arm around his rigid shoulders and dragging him forward. Uncle Tang, sitting inside the main hall, poured me a cup of tea. Have a seat, Lao Lu. I took a sip and cut to the chase. Uncle Tang, I'm here to propose a joint venture. Interested? Uncle Tang set his teacup down. Lao Lu, you just drove our North District branch out of their turf a few days ago. What kind of partnership could we possibly have? There are no permanent enemies, only permanent profit margins. I chuckled softly. Uncle Tang offered a cynical smile. So changing your tune depending on the weather is your specialty? Exactly. In this river, a thick skin keeps you fed, while thin skin gets you killed. Chum Leopard spat onto the floor. Shameless punk. I kept my eyes locked on Uncle Tang. Does Uncle Tang share that sentiment? Decades of surviving the triad, meat grinder meant Uncle Tang cared about outcomes, not bruised egos. Let's hear your terms, he said calmly. I laid out what happened at the tea house. Right now, Wo Xingwo is bleeding out against Star Interstellar and Jordan because you lack high-end muscle to counter their heavy hitters. Uncle Tang conceded with a slow nod. Fair. We have fighters, but nobody compares to you or your 4 heavenly kings. Star Interstellar's monsters are grinding us down. Here's my counteroffer. I grinned, leaning forward. I'll lend you my elite fighters to neutralize Star Interstellar's heavy hitters. You guys take care of the rest and reclaim Tsimshat Sui. Chun, Leopard, and Uncle Tang both leaped to their feet, their chairs scraping loudly. Uncle Tang's jaw dropped. If they could retake Tsimshat Sui, their lost honor would be restored overnight. Uncle Tang stared at me, his eyes wide. You think you can just hand us Tsimshat Sui? I don't deal in hypotheticals, I replied calmly. Here's my price. Clear out that massive buffer zone between North District and Sha Tin, and guarantee my business's safe passage through your territory. In exchange, my guys will break Star Interstellar's frontline elite. Uncle Tang stared at me for a long, silent minute, calculating the massive risk versus the astronomical reward. Finally, he exhaled slowly. Deal. Tell me your plan. Chapter 60. The price is right, and Uncle Ting signs on. I laid out the blueprint without holding back. I'll deploy Crow, Wang Xiu, and Ah Wu to lock down Star Interstellar's top enforcers simultaneously. Your job is to push out from Jordan and reclaim every square inch of Tsim they stole from you. And the other factions? Uncle Teng asked, narrowing his eyes. What about number 14 and Dongxing? Leave them to me, I said, flashing a confident grin. I'll handle the politics. An hour later, I rolled out of Tsa Kuling and headed straight for the peak in Deepwater Bay, where Chang Sosen, the supreme dragon head of Sun Yian, resided. Ah Lao, rare visitor. Chang Sosen greeted me with a hearty laugh, shaking my hand warmly. Ever since I gave him an honorable out during the Prince conflict, his opinion of me had skyrocketed. Mr. Chang, I smiled, taking a seat on a sun lounger. I won't beat around the bush. Is Red Star interested in expanding its footprint? Chang Sosen raised an eyebrow. Where? Simshatsui? Ah Lao, you're out of your mind, Chang Sosen chuckled, shaking his head. Simshatsui is a snake pit. What's more threatening as a neighbor? I countered. A toothless old lion, or an aggressive young tiger? Drop the riddles. Who's the lion? Star Interstellar, I replied bluntly. They've grown fat, lazy, and arrogant, leaning on their size to bully smaller outfits like Old Tongue. But they're overextended. If Woxingwo pushes from the west and Red Star exerts pressure from the north, Star Interstellar will crack. I'm offering you a slice of Chimshatsui on a silver platter. Chang Sosen tapped his fingers against the armrest. Red Star had been eyeing Simshatsui for years, but nobody wanted to absorb the casualties of a direct assault. If Woxingwo did the heavy lifting while I neutralized Star Interstellar's elite fighters, Red Star could slide in and harvest the spoils. And what do you get out of this bloodbath, Lao Lu? Chang Sosen asked, his gaze sharpening. Simple, I smiled. I want my face back, and I want Star Interstellar to bleed. Oh, and I want that neutral buffer zone between Shatin and North District cleared for my shipping lanes. Chang Sosen let out a low whistle, a grin spreading across his face. You're a madman, Lao Lu, a genuinely terrifying madman. Call it ambition. I stood up. Think about it, Mr. Chang. The window closes fast. Chapter 61. The Web of Alliances. By evening, the chess pieces were locked in place. Back in Shatin, my villa was buzzing with activity. Crow, Wang Xiu, and Ah Wu stood lined up in the courtyard, their eyes gleaming with anticipation. Boss, you're giving us the green light? Crow grinned. Tonight, we dismantle Star Interstellar's front line, I ordered. No quarter. Show them what happens when you cross Old Tongue. Chang Sosen chuckled, giving me a knowing nod as he remarked. You really aren't an easy person to deal with, kid. Star Interstellar is going to regret this. What about number 14's Whiskers Han? How are you planning to handle him? Easy, I grinned. Just have Mingor introduce me. Since Red Star and Woxingwo are both getting a slice of Tsimshatsui, if he sits this one out, he'll just lose out. Chang Sosen smiled and nodded. No problem. I'll connect with the right people. But the bulk of the offensive still needs to come from Woxingwo. Already handled, I replied. I've already ironed it all out with Uncle Teng. I left Deepwater Bay and headed straight back to Tsimshatsui. First, I met up with Shui Min at the hospital, and together we headed over to Whiskers Han's territory. We settled into a private booth in the nightclub, and I laid out the details of the coalition I'd forged with Hong Lok and Woxingwo. Well, Han Gore, interested in grabbing a slice? Interested? Hell yes. Whiskers Han burst out laughing. Expanding into Tsimshatsui had been his dream for years. Whiskers Han personally poured us each a glass of red wine. Lao Lu, I heard about yesterday. Just for stepping up and protecting Mingor, I'm drinking to you. We clinked glasses. Small stuff, I waved it off. I couldn't just stand by and watch Mingor take the fall. Shui Min raised his own glass. Lao Lu, I can't move directly because of number 14's internal politics, but I'm lending my men to Ah Han so he can help you settle this score. Whiskers Han jumped right in. Don't worry, Mingor. Funeral expenses, medical bills, deployment costs, I'm covering the whole tab. Just one condition, Han Gore. I said, you can't touch Woxingwo's old turf in Simshatsui. If you cross that line, our partnership ends before it starts. Whiskers Han raised his glass once more. Relax, Lao Lu. Let's start as friends today. Give it time, and we'll be blood brothers. Deal, I nodded, standing up. Now I need to go see Prince before you guys start fighting over scraps. I'll walk you out, Whiskers Han and Shui Min chorused. As I left, Whiskers Han turned to Shui Min, his brow furrowing. Mingor, I have to say, Uncle Chin went too far this time. To preserve some ancient elder's face, Uncle Chin completely threw away his years-long friendship with you. Shui Min's mouth twitched into a bitter smile. My boss only sees profit and loss. He didn't care about my face, why would he care about a cop's? Whiskers Han scoffed. You're just way too loyal. If Uncle Chin hadn't meddled back then, you never would have lost Simshatsui. He stepped closer. Start looking out for your own interests. Nobody out here is truly loyal, not even your damn boss. Shui Min took a deep, shaky breath, rubbing his face. When I was broke and starving, Uncle Chin gave me my first bowl of rice. Without them, I wouldn't have had a shot at Simshatsui. When Uncle Chin speaks, I can't just pretend I didn't hear it. Debt of gratitude. It's the hardest thing to shake off. He downed his glass in one gulp. At the Prince's boxing gym, Prince pulled a thick stack of cash from his pocket and handed it to Asa. My brother is coming. Go order a top-tier banquet for us. Asa took the cash, flashing a grin. You guys chat, I'll go make it happen. You got it, sixth brother. Sa beamed, clearly thrilled. Status changed everything. When you lacked strength, people saw your politeness as groveling. When you had power, people hung on your every word. Prince appreciated that I didn't treat Asa like a nobody. He pulled a bottle of whiskey and poured me a glass. Lao Lu, Chang So-sen, already briefed me on the phone. You didn't need to make a special trip over. I went to see Whiskers Han first, I replied, and since I was already craving a drink, I figured I'd drop by. Prince let out a booming laugh. Good choice. Drinking with that punk Whiskers Han is just business. Drinking with my brother is the real deal. Prince poured another drink. Lao Lu, we've got 3 factions closing in on Star Interstellar. Make sure your men wear red ribbons on their arms so nobody catches friendly fire. Prince's eyes flashed with excitement. No problem. I'm leading the charge myself. Star Interstellar, ignoring your face means they're ignoring mine, too. I raised a hand, tossing out a warning. Don't get complacent, Prince. A slip-up for us isn't a lost battle, it's a tombstone. Prince grinned, nodding firmly. Relax. I'll keep my guard up. My son's first-year birthday party is coming up in 2 months. I'm not planning on missing it. Wait, you have a kid? I blinked. You've been holed up in Shatin like a hermit. Of course you didn't know. Prince laughed. You're his second uncle, so your gift better be heavy. Naturally, I chuckled. Your son is basically my son. As for your wife, Prince glared instantly. Is still your wife. I finished smoothly, holding up my hands. Prince flipped me a swift middle finger. Keep your thoughts clean. Cross the line. And triad rules say you take 3 cuts and 6 holes. While I was busy building a coffin for Star Interstellar, they weren't sitting idle. Inside the luxury office of East Sim Shatsui, Lam King, Chang Xing, and Chang Por sat huddled with Razor. What were you idiots thinking? Razor muttered, glaring at them. You invite a lunatic out for tea, and you couldn't even give him basic face. Now Star Interstellar is bleeding out against Woxing Wo in Jordan, and you decided to drag Sha Tin's madman into it. Chang Por bristled defensively. We gave him plenty of face. We're Star Interstellar. Shut up, Chang Por, Chang Xing snapped. You were supposed to defuse the situation, not pour gasoline on the fire. Lam King rubbed his temples, his voice grim. Arguing won't fix this. His martial arts are terrifying, and his retaliation style is nuclear. If we don't find a way to take him off the board permanently, he's going to tear Star Interstellar apart. The room fell dead silent. Lam King swallowed hard. Do you honestly think a guy like that wouldn't hesitate to strap a rocket launcher to his shoulder and blow our headquarters straight to Kingdom Come? Nobody answered. Lam King's eyes drifted down to the stack of files detailing my background. We need to hire professional hitmen and take Demon Fox out in one clean shot. Dead men have 0 leverage. Only by making him permanently disappear can we finally sleep at night.